Please take your seat. The show is about to begin.
Presented by Front Yard Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon. Joined as always by my wildly handsome co-host, John Luke Garofalo. Our friend Coop with us, aka Coop A. Fiasco. What's up, everyone? Good morning and welcome into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. I'm your host, Simon, as it said in that sexy song, joined as always by my clean-shaven co-host, John Luke Garofalo. What's up, JL?
What up? Good morning.
Still looking clean, Mr. Babyface?
Yep. Can't grow it that quick.
You're like me. Once you shave, you're committed to being clean-shaven for like a month. It doesn't happen any faster than that.
I just do it for life.
We got some people in the chat ready for this morning show. Craig with the, he's waking up bright and early. And Adam in here. Morning, gents. What's up, morning? No, what's up, Adam?
Morning.
Welcome in.
Good Adam morning.
What's up, morning? Good Adam to you. We've got Tommy in here as well. Yo. It's Tuesday. Let's go.
Yo.
It is Tuesday. Let's go. It is today is the football hangover. Today is the day where we just had football overload for like 4
we got
days
blackout
in a
drunk.
row. And we got blackout drunk. And now it's the Tuesday football hangover, which is really just an alcohol hangover.
And now it feels like the next 2 days are just lost. Every single time I'm like, so what do I do today? I don't know.
It's 5 p.m. and I'm not checking my lineups.
Guess I'll watch more 911.
Watch what?
More 911.
What is 911?
It's just the first show that came to mind.
I don't even know that show. Is that a real show?
You don't know that show? Yeah, it's like a drama.
Jason Statham's in it, isn't he?
Jason Statham, starring Jason Statham. You probably don't know who Angela Bassett is, do you?
No.
Yeah.
I might know him.
She's in American Horror Story. She's
Angela Bassett.
Yeah, she's
I know who that is. I know who Angela Bassett is. I recognize her.
She's in 911.
She's in 911. Okay, maybe I'll check it out. I'm going to be honest though. Probably won't. I'll probably just watch more House Hunters International.
Honestly, out of all the stuff that we've talked about our entire life of things that you haven't seen, 911 is really not on the list.
Well, then
it's okay if you missed that one.
Now it's going to show up while
now you're going to watch it,
and
aren't you?
like, JL said I had to watch this.
Oh, this is pointless. Let me. This is right up my alley. I got to watch it.
Let me see it. Tommy said I need a football Bloody Mary. That would be nice if there was like a Tuesday morning scrimmage. I think he's talking hyperbolically or like
mimosa. Give me a Tuesday morning mimosa and we'll call it a deal.
I'm with you, JL. I'm not a Bloody Mary guy. Give me a mimosa bright and early in the morning. Orange juice, not ketchup with vodka in it.
Honestly, I'm terrified of anyone who likes like V8 or anything similar to it.
You're terrified of a large portion of the population.
I know. You're telling me.
People love Bloody Marys. Like they go wild over a good Bloody Mary.
I don't understand it.
I can't do it. I will do a Michelada, which is beer with like clamato, which is like it's similar to Bloody Mary, which is like a type of tomato juice, but it's wildly refreshing. It's so delicious. Bunch of different spices and hot sauce in there. It's really good. Tommy said practicing for my lost bet with Coop. Yeah, you're gonna have to eat a whole tomato right on screen, Tommy. Guys, it is that time of morning. We hope you brought your breakfast because we didn't bring it. We just brought news and things that we need to discuss for Bring Your Own Breakfast. John Luke, did you bring your own breakfast?
I did. This week, Simon, I was talking about it yesterday, but I almost lost in the Guillotine League.
I know.
But I did it.
So close.
No job. Was I second to last?
Oh, you were third to last. Chris Olave showed up for you, and the other players had some disappointing games from their players.
Man, brutal. So I got to survive this. That's definitely my first near-death experience in this league.
It's exhilarating, isn't it?
It's a little bit. Oh, never mind. Sorry, this is for the next week. I was like, oh, wait, we all tied. And then I was like, wait, Simon.
No, I'm glad you're still alive, JL. I was looking at your roster, though, for a minute there, and I was like, it would be really sad if JL got chopped. But he's got some pretty good players over there. Yeah. Like, I wouldn't mind spending my fab on those guys.
Damn, bro. You're my friend.
I am. I was
over here eyeing my wife.
JL, I was already I was already just pre-grieving, like setting up the grieving process for when you got chopped, like finding ways to just reconcile you no longer being in the league with me.
One day I'm gonna die, and you're gonna come over and walk around my house, and be like,
Pretty
there's a
nice,
few things
pretty
here.
nice guitar.
I like that microphone.
JL was always telling me I should get a MacBook.
maybe today's the day I'll give it a try.
Yeah, maybe in honor of him, I'll steal his MacBook now that he's dead. Yeah, JL, you're 100% right. That's how it's going to go. I'm glad to see you surviving. Chris Olave did it for you. He had himself a decent game. Could have been better. Could have had that touchdown.
It was all right.
But it was pretty good.
It was all right.
Pretty good for how the Saints offense was looking. Chris Olave put in decent numbers. JL, I don't want to brag, but I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 3 out of the past 4 weeks, I've been the top scorer in this league with only having spent like $6 of my fat.
I was the top scorer last week, so
yeah,
couldn't
and
have
I
been
was
last
not.
week.
I almost got chopped, and then week 7 I was the top scorer, and week 6 I was the top scorer. So nice. I almost got chopped in week 8.
So we're just running this league right now.
We are the last.
One of us, we just keep switching off who's running it, and the other person almost gets chopped.
Gets chopped every single week. We'll see. We'll see how the pattern continues. I'll take it if it's 2 on, 1 off for you, 2 on, 1 off for you. That would be fine. I just got to do the math to see how that plays out in the championship. Yeah, who's going to end up being the winner? JL, I know you saw it, but I wanted to talk about it a little bit. Head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, I guess I should say former head coach, Frank Reich, has been fired. Let go. No longer the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. And before we get to who they hired, I just want to talk a little bit about why Frank Reich was fired. I know you put out a video yesterday detailing some of it. You dug into it a little bit, but what went wrong here for Frank Reich?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing, he came in 2018 was when he was hired. And if you remember, Andrew Luck was the quarterback at the time. Andrew Luck abruptly retired in 2019, putting Frank Reich in a very precarious position, I'd say. So basically, he's just been chasing that QB position, and we've seen him go through Phillip Rivers. We've seen him go through Carson Wentz. We've seen him go through Matt Ryan, and really none of them have worked out. Phillip Rivers wasn't bad. He got him to the playoffs, but then he retired right after to deal with his, bajillion kids. So I think this is a bad situation for Frank Reich, but also I think, why didn't he change his strategy up? Why did he keep going after these old QBs who weren't working and wasting away his O-line talent? So he's certainly to blame here, but I don't know that he's the worst QB or coach ever. Might be the worst QB ever. I don't know how good he is at throwing.
I agree with you. I don't think he's a bad head coach. I think he really got not bad luck, but it's like you said, he should have changed his strategy. He shouldn't have kept going over or kept going.
Not a great coach.
Not a great coach, but should not have kept going after these aging quarterbacks that weren't finding success on the teams they were currently on.
So now we got Jeff Saturday, who has never coached in the NFL, never coached in college either.
Don't worry.
He has coached high school, though.
Yeah, he's coached in high school. And I read online that in his last season as a high school coach, they had a 3-7 record. So I have not verified that. I don't really know where to verify small private high school college football records from previous seasons. But
you don't?
Bizarre. The best part, though, is did you watch the Jim Irsay press conference and where they were asking him questions about the hire?
No.
I don't remember the exact quote, and I'll pull it up in a second, but I'll basically reenact it for you. They asked Jim Irsay, why Jeff Saturday, what made him qualified. And he basically said, all these coaches in the NFL know a lot, and that's bad. Jeff Saturday knows nothing, and that's good. That's basically what he said. I think I've got the full quote pulled up over here. Yeah, Jim Irsay said, what did he say? He said, it's an intuitive decision. When I hired Tony Dungy, it was very methodical. Then I wanted a winning playoff coach that was proven. Now I'm glad Saturday doesn't have NFL experience. I'm glad he hasn't learned the fear that's in this league. Coaches are afraid. They go to analytics, and it gets difficult. He doesn't have that fear, and he has tons of experience. He knows this game inside and out. Yet they go to analytics because that's what you do. That's what works. It gets difficult. It gets too difficult. This guy, Jim Irsay said this guy's running the team on heart.
Is that intuition. Not the most white rich guy mentality, though? Just throw out anything that matters here, and I'm going to go straight off intuition. I don't need the instruments. I'm going to fly this plane and land it on my own.
Tim says he doesn't have computers. No, he doesn't have computers.
all these new NFL coaches have computers.
and fancy MySpace pages. He doesn't
They
have
know how
any
to set
of
their
that.
profile picture.
Yeah, you know what? Jeff Saturday has me in his top friends on MySpace, and that's enough for me.
So suck it.
Yeah, I'm number 2 behind Tom, and that is more than good enough for me. None of the other coaches. No, he's not cool enough to say Isiah out.
Isiah out. That is ridiculous. They're scared, so they rely on analytics. It seems like the analytics coaches are doing pretty well so far. I don't know about Isiah here, but it seems like a dumb move.
It does.
Jeff Saturday is a great name, though. Fantastic.
Jeff Saturday is a great name. Jeff Saturday is a great name. Would be a better name for a college coach, I think, with college games being on Saturday.
Yeah,
you know
maybe if he didn't skip the whole college step.
He should have spent a couple years in college going Jeff Saturday. Man, just brutal that Isiah did that. Colts fans have to be like scratching their head. But Jay, I think I know what's going on here. I said it yesterday in the chat before I saw that Saturday was hired. But then after Saturday was hired, he announced that Ehlinger is still their starting quarterback. I saw a tweet. And what I said yesterday and what I think might be the case is Isiah does not know how to operate this franchise without a franchise quarterback. He is lost. They had Peyton Manning. They went to Andrew Luck. Tanked, went to Andrew Luck. Went to Andrew Luck. Went to Andrew Luck, and then they cycled through quarterbacks trying to find that next guy. We've got Bryce Young and CJ Stroud coming out in this next class. I know they're competing with the Raiders, the Jaguars, the Texans for this first overall pick or second overall pick. But hiring Jeff Saturday with no experience, continuing to roll Sam Ehlinger out there after how he's looked, this is a tank job. This is a full-on tank job for one of those top 2 quarterbacks. It has to be.
Yeah, I'm with you, Simon. It seems like it. You think Saturday gets the boot after the season?
I think he was brought in to keep morale up while they tanked. I think he's a great speaker. He's an announcer. He's got that. He probably has the respect of the people on the team. Indianapolis fans aren't going to get super mad when a team legend is doing poorly. It'll be, well, at least we gave Saturday a shot. Know what I mean? Like, we gave him his chance. So it's a way to keep the fan base complacent. It's a way to keep the team motivated and keep morale up while they full on tank for their franchise quarterback.
Honestly, that makes a lot of sense. Especially like you want to bring in like an interim head coach who has maybe had big NFL head coach aspirations, because if you want to tank, that's just going to be a stain on the record, right? No one's going to really want that. So you bring in a guy from the outside who maybe doesn't have, or maybe he's like Jeff Saturday is probably not going to get an opportunity to be a head coach anywhere, except here. Like this is his one shot. So it's kind of like, even if I lose, it's fine. You know,
what's the risk for him? Yeah, there were
no other hit on something there. There's the logic checks out.
Man, did I just talk myself into Isiah making the right decision? But I
think you just broke the story. Honestly, I think no one has figured this out except for you. Before.
I'm sure I'm not the only one saying that. And Tommy said this could open the door for you guys to coach a team. Yeah, Jail. All you have to do is get in with Isiah, and maybe you can be the next head coach of the Colts.
I know nothing about being a head coach of a football team.
Yeah,
I would be
I
so
don't
good.
think Jim Saturday does either.
Who's Jim Saturday?
Jim
Friday.
Jeff Isiah hired Jim Saturday, and that's what we got going on here.
Jim Saturday.
And Jeff.
His name already sounds made up.
It does.
Then now you're gonna give him a name like Jim. It's clearly made up.
And Tim said, watch him pull a Ted Lasso. That's what I'm saying. Like, what's the downside for this guy, right? Like he's being brought in, and if he loses, he loses. He was expected to. He's got no experience. But if he pulls something out, maybe this develops into maybe he gets a coordinator position. Maybe he gets an assistant position somewhere. I don't know. It's a risk-free audition for him. Someone just gave him a full-on audition with nothing to lose.
Absolutely nothing to lose. I see Tim in the chat said, got that 13th SFB win last night, so to the playoffs I go.
Yeehaw.
Scott Fish following that with Ian is 13-5. I'm 12-6 in our SFB division, number 1 and number 2 in the division. Colts have 0 people on the staff who has called an NFL play now. Oh, that was part of the other conversation. I am doing so horribly in the Scott Fish Bowl. I was looking at my team the other day, Simon, and I'm just like, wow, I made all of the bad bets. It's just one of those teams where like all of the bets on, like, I made so many bad bets on players, like Elijah Moore. Originally, Travis Etienne was giving me a hard time at the beginning of the season. Cam Akers. Who else? There's Allen Robinson. I just made every single bad bet you could in that league, and now my team sucks.
Bill, if it makes you feel any better, I made some pretty good bets in that league. Kenneth Walker.
It does not.
Brian Robinson was a decent bet. Josh
Oh,
Jacobs.
I got Brian Robinson. I wasn't
Hopkins.
without good bets.
Held on to DeAndre Hopkins through the suspension. Drafted him a little bit earlier. Greg Dulcich.
So brave.
Evan Ingram. Those two guys were two of my first tight ends drafted. But
Drake
that being
London.
said, it's not doing much for me, JL. Not doing much for me. I'm not doing so hot. I'm not locked into the playoffs like Mr. Scott, Ian, and Tim.
Tom Brady, Kirk Cousins, Kenny Pickett. Oh, disgusting.
That is pretty gross. Scott said, nice thing, JL. Only 2 more lineups to set, and then you're done.
It's not a nice thing. Then I'm sad I'm not in the playoffs.
And you can ignore the league if you're out. It's so nice.
How far out of the playoffs am I? That's what I need to find out. There's no way I don't know, man. It might take more than 3 hours on NMFL.
We had a question come in here from Adam Jail. Wants to know if Jeff Wilson is a backup worth rostering rest of season, full PPR.
Absolutely.
You think so?
Yeah, he might not be a backup. Raheem Mostert is the main guy there, but Jeff Wilson split carries with him in his very first week back. And he got a bunch of receiving work, so he's absolutely worth stashing, seeing what you got.
Yeah, he's worth a stash. I think I'm a little bit less optimistic. I think it's going to be a hard to predict backfield, but that being said, it's still a split backfield and a good offense, and you want the pieces of it. So I think Jeff Wilson's worth rostering, and it's startable. You can throw him in your lineup. Brian wanted to know A.J. Brown and Leonard Fournette for Ramondre Stevenson and Amon-Ra St. Brown. So, Jay, how do you feel about this trade? A wide receiver and a running back? For a wide receiver and a running back. It's A.J. Brown and Fournette for Ramondre Stevenson and Amon-Ra St. Brown.
So A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'd rather have A.J. Brown, but it's not that far away, maybe like a round. And then Fournette versus Ramondre. They're pretty close. I think I'd rather have Ramondre, though.
Stay put. I'm staying put. I'm keeping A.J. Brown and Fournette.
Yeah. This is close enough. It just feels like a wash trade to me.
Yeah. Ramondre, I definitely want over Fournette, but A.J. Brown, I definitely want over St. Brown. So I'm probably just staying put with what you got, Brian. And then Craig in here, giving you some props, JL said, I agree with JL. ETN was a bad bet. What a dud. You drafted some ETN.
How dare you?
Over there.
He's just trying to get under my skin. I see you, Craig.
He's trying to tickle your nipples a little. Get you a little worked
Thank
up.
God Travis Etienne is paying off, because I probably would have had to quit my job otherwise.
Hey, you don't have to quit your job when the player you hyped up all offseason is disappointing.
You don't?
No. Sometimes people are really excited about Darnell Mooney being a potential top 12 wide receiver this season.
People are excited about Darnell Mooney. You're right.
Yeah, sometimes people are excited about Darnell Mooney. Sometimes they're excited about Travis Etienne. And then sometimes Darnell Mooney isn't what you thought he was going to be. And that doesn't mean you have to quit your job.
That's
hypothetically, true. Of course.
Hypothetically, of course, yes. Yes.
We could probably play this out in a future game of hypothetically. What would you do if you spent the entire offseason hyping up Darnell Mooney as a top 12 wide receiver and then he severely disappoints? It'd be a really fun one to explore.
It would.
Also, Craig, going back to the Saturday hire, said Maria hired JL with no experience. Was that a tank job?
Absolutely, it was a tank job. She's got the first pick. She's had the first pick in every draft since we've been dating.
Tank job. Excuse me, JL.
You're excused.
Did you see? So we talked a little bit yesterday about Mike McDaniel talking to Justin Fields on the sideline. He was asked about it in his press conference. He was asked why he told Justin Fields to stop it on the sideline during Sunday's game. And he said, I just wanted him to stop scrambling. And it was pretty irritating because he didn't listen at all. I love Mike McDaniel. Like, that dude's just funny. He's goofy. He's in the middle of a game where Justin Fields is just tearing him to shreds, and he tells him on the sideline, stop it.
Stop it. Stop it. Oop.
And then afterwards, he's still goofy about it. He's like, yeah, he didn't even listen to me. Like, what a jerk.
That is so funny. Yeah. Mike McDaniel, is he your favorite coach in the NFL?
No, Mike Tomlin. And that's saying something because I hate the Steelers. The Steelers are my least favorite team. but I really like Mike Tomlin. And then Mike McDaniel's probably number 2.
Yeah, that's fair. Mike Tomlin's definitely up there.
Who's your favorite coach? Dan Campbell's got to be up there, right?
Hoping you weren't going to ask me. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. You took my answer. Mike Tomlin.
I'm going to give an honorable mention to Dan Campbell up there.
I like Harbaugh. Harbaugh's good. He's decent.
His brother makes him look better too, right? Like
yeah,
you don't have the weird khakis Harbaugh who constantly says odd quotes. You've got just like the normal one. John. Not that crazy Jim over there. We've got some crazy Jims. Jim Irsay, Jim Harbaugh. Is it the name Jim?
I think that's what it is. Jim Saturday.
My cousin Jimmy's pretty level-headed. Maybe I need to watch out. Maybe once they hit 50 is when things go off the rails. I got to keep an eye on Jimmy.
Old Jimster.
As soon as maybe it's when they change their name, when they become adults and change their name from Jimmy to Jim is when it happens. You got to watch out for the Jimmy to Jim transition. I bet there was a time and day when Jim Irsay went by Jimmy.
Probably. Those are the dark times.
And then one day in his office, somebody walked in and said, he goes, actually, it's Jim now.
I've become a man.
My armpits have grown hair at the age of 47, and I am officially going by Jim from here on out. That is my name for all eternity.
Oh, Jim. Tim said I was saying the same thing during the game. I can only imagine the thing about the gym.
Yeah, he was definitely saying Jim stuff during in there. Did you see the Colts GM yesterday? Chris Ballard coming out. He had a ridiculous quote, JL. He said, what was it? He said, y'all been kicking the shit out of me for not drafting wideouts, and now we're underperforming on the offensive line. Like, it isn't his freaking job to fix those positions. like he just said, like,
that was a real quote.
That's a real quote that he said. He said, y'all been kicking the shit out of me. Andrew Siciliano reported it.
That's crazy. Y'all been kicking the shit out of me. Yeah, that's his job, dude. Come on. No one's going to cry for you because you're complaining about the thing you signed up for, the job that's yours, that you get paid a lot of money to do.
Man, I can only do one position at a time, guys. I can only
in a 3-year berth. That's all I can do.
That's all I got. And with that being said, he's like, y'all kicked the shit out of me for not drafting wideouts, and now we have no offensive line. Well, your wideouts aren't great either. You've got Michael Pittman and like Alec Pierce maybe will be good. Paris Campbell, all right. But no one's putting this wide receiver core in the top 10 wide receiver cores in the NFL, I don't think.
Right. And I don't think they wanted you to draft a wideout. They wanted you to win. Right? Like, that's the thing, is they want you to build a good team. And that's how they thought you could do it.
Also, Chris,
the
fans don't know what the hell they're doing, and that's why they're not the general manager making the decisions, you jackass. like you're out here blaming like Joe Schmo on his couch with
Twitter,
like 6 Bud Lights in, tweeting at you like, draft a wide receiver, and you're like, well, they told me to. I have no other choice.
Yeah, you're sitting there just like wrecked by this guy telling you to go draft someone.
Like, I'm sitting there feeling like Chris Ballard feels like vindicated right now. He's like, I told you guys, shouldn't have been drafting wideouts, but I listened, and here we are. Like he's acting like he's acting like I told you so almost in this moment. Well, then you should have just done it. It's your job. Like, you don't have to give in to whatever pressures you think you're feeling.
Right. Man, there's a bidding war. Well, actually, before we get to that, Craig had a trade for us here. He asked, what about this trade? Tyler Lockett and Nyheim Hines, or Allen Robinson and Ramondre Stevenson? It's Tyler Lockett and Nyheim Hines for Allen Robinson and Ramondre Stevenson. I think that's a pretty solid trade. I'm totally cool making that trade, especially if you need running back depth. Ramondre Stevenson's going to be solid, and I see him as a level up even from Lockett. So thumbs up for you, Craig.
I think I want the Robinson and Stevenson side. I definitely want Lockett over Robinson, but Stevenson's the best player in this trade for fantasy. And I'm going to roll with that side. Also, I see Joey in here saying, can we get a happy third birthday for Miss Eliza? Happy birthday, Eliza.
Happy birthday, Eliza.
That's incredible. That was a beautiful song, Joe. What's the next line?
And Peggy.
And Peggy?
Yeah, it's from Hamilton.
I I did not know we were going Hamilton. I thought it was a song you made up on the spot.
No,
JL.
that's a Hamilton song. Eliza and Peggy.
I need to watch that again. It's been a minute.
Oh, it's so good.
Hey, there's a movie I've seen.
Hamilton, that's a play.
That's not, okay, well, I watched it on my TV, and it was longer than a TV show, so it was a movie. Is how we're feeling about that. I guess that's fair. Just like the season finale of Stranger Things, season 4 was a movie, was not a TV show. It was like 2 hours long.
What is it?
What separates a long TV show and a movie?
Whether it has successive episodes or not. Continuous episodes.
Okay, but like, but there's sequels.
Okay, fair.
There's
but hear me out
as well.
There are sequels, but that's not an episode. A sequel's not an episode. It's a standalone. The sequel's
just a movie episode.
Could you have watched just the season finale, Simon?
I did actually.
You didn't watch the rest of the series?
I watched the first 2 episodes and then I watched the finale. It was. God, I'm going to sound, when I say it was too intense, at the end of a day, after a full day of work and everything else, I don't want to turn on a show and watch people's bones be snapped in every direction and giant demons try to kill everyone. I want to watch like 3 people on the beach of Italy trying to buy a house, or I want to watch like people playing Legos or someone singing a song. Like I want to watch something pleasant and where I don't have to think about it, because that stresses me the hell out.
It is pretty stressful. My mom here saying, happy birthday, Eliza.
Man, look at that. Triple happy birthdays for Eliza over there. 3 for her 3rd birthday. Scott Fishing here says Psych is a TV show, but also has movies. What do we do with that?
Well, you say you categorize the TV show episodes into the TV category, and then you categorize the movies into the movie category.
So it sounds like what you're saying is it depends on what the creator titles it. Because if Psych would have just released the movie, the exact same thing, and said this is the next episode, then it would have been a TV show episode.
It would have been a very long Psych episode.
Okay, man. See,
if they had made it a TV episode, but they didn't, so we don't.
The definition of an episode is a finite period in which someone is affected by a specified illness. So, do with that what you will, JL.
So, problem solved.
Checkmate.
That's fair. I can't argue with that.
Point proven on my end. Point proven.
Isiah said that Chris Ballard is going to return in the 2023 season. Now, you didn't touch on that, Simon, but that is what Isiah said. Do you think that's true?
I think that's stupid, but it checks out. Checks out. Like, especially if a lot of the issues were personnel issues. You know what I mean? Like, we can't get the quarterback right. Our offensive line has gone to crap. Our wideouts, even though we've invested draft capital in them, aren't a top 10 unit in the league. That's not just on the coach. Like, the GM has a major say in that. Seems like Ballard should have been out the door as well with Mr. Frank Reich.
Yeah, I'm with you. He got a lot of credit for building that offensive line, but things have not gone as well. So
yeah, now they have a very expensive slice of Swiss cheese up front there. It is not going well. Cheese. Scott said, I mean, I'm sure I'll get an express type thing and make it, but that's hilarious. Get on that. I think I missed the first part of that comment, JL, if we're being honest. I think I just read that without context entirely. But will you respond to what I just said?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure I'll get an express type thing and make it, but that's hilarious. Get on that.
Yeah, no, I mean, that actually works out because the original comment was, did you guys talk about how Kenneth Walker III might miss the Germany game because he doesn't have a passport?
Kenneth Walker, I got you. Okay. Here's what you got to do. You can get one in like 4 days. Okay. Because maybe somebody earlier this year was planning on spending a month in Mexico at surf and Spanish school. And then the day before they left, realized they didn't have a passport. But there was also a family vacation planned for the end of that month where everyone was coming down to meet him in Mexico. It was me. I did this, JL. I needed to get a passport in less than 3 weeks, and there were no appointments available. There's a place in Houston. I'm going to give them some free advertisement right here. Visa
my
Express.
Sister went too.
And you can go in there, and these dudes, I don't know what magic they work, but you hand them a check for way too much money and your passport, and less than a week later, there's a new passport in your mailbox ready to go. and we can get you over to Germany, Kenneth Walker. Please do it.
Please.
That is funny. That's like the worst feeling ever, though, when you go to like check your passport and it's expired and you're like, oh no.
It's panic.
Tim says that sounds very illegal. It worked. Whatever it was, it worked. And they had an office. You can't have an office if you're doing something illegal, right, JL?
That's true.
And a website.
Yeah.
They don't just let anyone have a website.
No, they don't. You need to have credentials to have a website, and they have one. So they did all the legwork.
Tim, I also thought it was sketchy, and I showed up and I left and I was like, did they just steal my money and my identity? Like, did they just steal my passport, all my identifying information and my money? And then passports showed up and it worked.
That's hilarious.
Scott in here with the real point, though, saying, how did the team not make sure all players got them well in advances? And saying, yeah, that seems like a big oversight for the Seahawks. They knew before the season started that they were going to be playing in Germany, right? Like, these games were scheduled in advance. How did they not check? How did they not go through the roster and be like, everyone, passport check, bring them in?
No, that is insane. I'm very surprised by that. Maybe they'll go through your Houston connection, Simon.
Maybe. I hope so. Those were some very nice guys. They were very friendly. They did show up late, but it's okay. I forgive them because they got me my passport so early. We haven't talked about it yet so far today, JL, but Bills quarterback Josh Allen, we mentioned yesterday that his arm got hit during the game, but he's being evaluated for an elbow injury to his ulnar collateral ligament and related nerves. Sean McDermott said that they hope to have more information today. But depending on the severity of this, if it is in fact to that area, if there is something going on with his nerves in that area as well, he could be out for, I saw the broad spectrum was 0 to 2 weeks if it's just very minor. But if it requires surgery, he could be out the rest of the season. I'm expecting probably somewhere in the middle. It is concerning that they're taking a deeper look at it, though, right?
Yeah, for sure. I saw on Reddit there was a post. Someone was saying it could be anywhere from 0 to 6 weeks, even potentially season ending if it's a really bad tear. Take that for what it's worth. It's Reddit, so you can only believe so much here. But that's very alarming. If that's the case, Simon, what does that do? Like, let's say Josh Allen misses 4 weeks. Let's go right here in the middle here. What if he misses 3 weeks? How does that change the fantasy landscape for you?
Well, Jalen Hurts is clearly the top quarterback, right? You can't start Josh Allen first and foremost, actually, for those 3 weeks. He will score 0 points while he's out. That being said, though, they have it's not like their backup quarterback is some scrub. They've got Case Keenum as their backup quarterback, who is probably one of the better backup quarterbacks in the NFL. Like, I have a trust towards Case Keenum. This defense is incredible on the Buffalo Bills. So I expect the Bills probably to play decently, even in the absence of Josh Allen. I don't think it ruins their season. I don't think they're guaranteed losses. Like, this is a complete team, and plugging in Case Keenum doesn't all of a sudden make it a bad team. It does lower the upside for some of the receiving options here. Like, I know Case Keenum has that connection with Stephon Diggs, which is helpful, but Case Keenum isn't Josh Allen. Case Keenum can't sling the ball around like Josh Allen can, but still decent. Like, it's not changing if I'm starting or not starting any of these pieces on the Bills if Case Keenum's in there. It's just lowering my expectations a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Does Stephon Diggs move down to does he move down considerably for you?
I think he would still be instead of being like near the number 1 overall wide receiver, like top 3, he's probably top 12. Like, he's a top 12 kind of wide receiver instead of a top 5 wide receiver.
I got you.
And Scott Fishing here with the Keenum to Diggs, Minneapolis Miracle. Yeah.
Minneapolis.
When I say they have a connection, that is what I'm referring to. Did I say Minneapolis? Oh,
yeah, you did.
Let's try this again.
Minneapolis. I only laugh at you, Simon, because I make that mistake way too often. Like, I don't know why, but for some reason my brain does it too.
It really feels like there should be another syllable in that city name.
Minneapolis.
Feels like
I shouldn't have said anything and just seen like Scott Fish's reaction when neither of us pointed that out.
Minneapolis. It's the new Disney movie starring Minnie Mouse traveling to the city of Appolis.
Minneapolis.
No. It doesn't lower him too much for me. Joe, what about you? Are you worried about Stephon Diggs if Case Keenum's a starter?
Slightly, but it lowers him a tiny bit, but it's not detrimental. He's still the guy, still wide receiver 1 there, and he's got some experience with Case Keenum, like Scott Fish alluded to here.
Absolutely.
Simon, your guy, Justin Fields, he broke Michael Vick's record for most rushing yards by a QB in a single game.
Indeed, he did. It was
Pretty
beautiful.
wild.
It was beautiful.
What was it, like 156 yards or something?
178, I think it was.
Ooh.
Or maybe it was 175. But I believe the previous record was 173 by Michael Vick, and I think it was 178 from Justin Fields, which is absolutely absurd. Like, that is an absurd amount of rushing yards. And I watched, again, that 61-yard touchdown run that started with a sexy scramble, and then he just got loose. I haven't watched it as much as I've watched that Peach to Deej touchdown throw, but I'd say half as much. I've probably watched it a good 30 or 40 times because every time I'm just like, man, he's so good. He is so
good.
I'm glad I didn't give up on Justin Fields.
Yeah, I mean, we knew that he was gonna likely turn around. He had the talent. It was just a matter of when in that offense, when were they going to develop him? And it seems like they're getting on track here, which is good.
Scott Fish coming in saying Cap had 181 in the playoff game. So this is the regular season game record. 181 is even more absurd. And in a playoff game, wild. Absolutely wild. Dale, we had some questions come in here. Adam wanted to know, I've been stashing quite a few running backs, hoping that one can break out to match with Saquon. Which do you think I can continue to hold, and who should I drop full PPR? He wants to drop one of them to potentially pick up Jeff Wilson. The running backs he's looking at are Khalil Herbert, Alexander Mattison, Rachaad White, Isiah Pacheco, and Kareem Hunt. Joe, would you be dropping any of those players to pick up Jeff Wilson? Khalil Herbert, Mattison, Rachaad White, Isiah Pacheco, and Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, I would drop Pacheco. I'm not dropping Hunt. Oh, I'm not dropping Rachaad White. I would drop Pacheco. I would drop probably Mattison or Herbert. Oof. I would just drop Pacheco out of that group.
Pacheco's the one I'm dropping for Wilson as well. Mattison, like, you're holding on in case there's a Cook injury. That's what you have Mattison for. He's not going to be a league winner unless that happens. Pacheco, I'm comfortable dropping for Jeff Wilson. I would make that move. But these other guys, I'm probably not feeling too comfy with it.
Yeah, he's the clear one to me. The other guys are right there on that line, so I'm fine if you want to if you feel strongly about any one of them, want to make that decision. But yeah, Pacheco is the one that stands out for sure.
Absolutely. Guys, if you're watching right now and you haven't done so already, I want to remind everyone here to download the free Better Sports Network app and join the growing community over here. The Better Sports Network app is available in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. And we've got a button right there on the screen, one button to call in. And we want you guys to come up here and hang out with us. Maybe play some games. Give us your hot takes for the day. Tell us what you think the difference between a TV show and a movie is, really. What's the philosophical difference between the two? Guys,
how can you tell?
Right now, you're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Better Sports Live with Rick Kamla. That's 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific on Better Sports Network.
Andy Reid is the best current coach in the NFL. He's better than Belichick. Belichick has lost his way. He's better than Tomlin. He's better than Harbaugh. He's better than Shanahan. He's better than McCarthy down in Dallas. He's better than all of the gangster NFL coaches right now. Sean McDermott up in Buffalo, he's better than all these guys. Andy Reid is the greatest gangster that we have at head coach in the NFL right now. And I understand that you're saying, well, Belichick is the GOAT, Cam. How can that be true? Now you're bringing up old stuff. Bill Belichick can't draft anymore, okay? Talk to me. Nick Chubb, Sony Michel. Talk to me. DK Metcalf, Debo Samuel versus N'Keal Harry. Okay, talk to me. This dude has lost his way. Remember the year when he should have bottomed out and just tanked, but he couldn't, and he went and got Cam Newton, and they were a mediocre team, right? He's lost his way. And not that he can't coach up a good defense and that kind of thing, but overall, he's lost his way. Andy Reid's an absolute badass. They draft great. He's a great coach. Makes the right decisions, when to go for it, when to kick, when to punt. The guy's the man.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
I hate the stupid unsportsmanlike conduct. As long as you're not disrespectful to the opponent, you should be allowed to celebrate.
How I used to say it, and to bring up, because now basketball's starting to bring up.
Oh, dude, it's even worse than basketball, isn't it?
So Dikembe Mutombo, who used to get teed up in the 2000s, the 90s, they didn't give a crap. 2000s, though, when they tightened up the rules, They used to tee him up more when he did the Dikembe finger wag. But they wouldn't tee him up if he did it to the crowd instead of looking at like Eton Thomas, like one time I remember, and doing it right to him, or when his back was turned, doing it right to him. If he did it to the crowd, they would never call it. And so that makes me wonder if these players, while, yeah, they want to talk a little smack, maybe they should flex towards the crowd than at the player who they're standing over.
I guess.
I know
again,
it's soft, man.
It is soft.
Because you know what?
Like we're gonna give 15 yards for that,
bro. They think that, you want to know why they're paranoid? They think that's gonna turn into a fight.
See, I disagree with that. That's not gonna start a fight.
I agree with you. They don't agree with us.
It's one thing. Okay, if you spit in someone's face or say something derogatory, like about their family or something,
right?
Yeah, that can incite it. But if you're just like, yeah, I made that play. What? You know what I mean? Like, again, they know the rules. You got to know you're going to get flagged. You have to have discipline. But, like, I don't know. I have no problem with celebration as long as it's not disrespectful.
What's disrespectful? You know,
it's interpretation, and that's my problem. Watch, it's going to cost someone in a big playoff game, and that's when people are going to go crazy. There'll be a third down play. Someone makes a pass breakup, and they're in someone's face. They're going to throw a flag. It'll extend the drive. That team scores, wins a playoff game because of it. You need something drastic for it to really leave an imprint, and I hope that doesn't happen to mine.
Better Sports Network is betting, fantasy, collectibles. It's sports talk done better.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. John Luke, I just read the most preposterous statistic over the break. I had to look it up because it didn't seem real, and you're just so flabbergasted a noise can't even come out of your mouth right now. It's unreal. Now,
I wasn't even muted there. You just farted so loud you could hear me.
Ah, of course.
That was you.
Everyone heard it.
Everyone heard it. We all know it was you.
For me. The stat I just heard, Dale, was with Doug Peterson's third win, he now has the fifth most wins of any head coach in Jaguars history.
What?
Passing, this is on Reddit. Someone on Reddit posted this, said passing legends like Urban Meyer and Mel Tucker, who never quite reached that 3-win threshold. He is fifth. It is a young franchise, right? But fifth all time in wins as the head coach of the Jaguars with 3 wins.
That's insane.
That's absurd. That's absolutely absurd. So it's all gravy from here, right? He's already fifth all time on the list. He's already over-succeeded as a Jaguars head coach.
Right.
Just gravy added on top.
That is wild. I did not know that. I mean, he's a decent head coach, and I have a lot of respect for him. I think what he's doing in Jacksonville, I was a bit concerned because I didn't know how much of his Eagles' success could really be credited to him. I feel like we see a lot like this in the NFL where you have this Adam Gase effect, right? You have these coaches who get credit for the team they put together or this talent that really didn't have all that much to do with them. Adam Gase, referring to Adam Gase with Peyton Manning and him getting the credit as this QB whisperer when it was really Peyton Manning. So it is interesting. I like what he's done here in Jacksonville. It's been pretty interesting to watch him turn the team around.
You think he's going to have success in Jacksonville? You think he'll
so.
Maybe the next coach on this list for him to pass is Gus Bradley, whose overall record as the Jacksonville Jaguars head coach from 2013 to 2016 was 14-48.
One of the coaches who was passed up in Indianapolis, actually.
I mean,
because he's on that team, but he wasn't given the job.
He was not. Gus
Bradley.
Man, like, couldn't they have given Jeff Saturday? Like, that's what makes me think it's a tank job. They could have given Jeff Saturday like a coordinator role. Know what I mean? Like called him up and be like, hey, like we're elevating our offensive coordinator, our defensive coordinator to be head coach. Come in and be our offensive coordinator, like our interim offensive coordinator during the season. Like let's have you come in and be our like a position coach. You know what I mean? Like just be a position coach for us.
Right.
Nothing. Just straight to the head coaching job.
Straight head coach.
Joe, how many head coaches that the Jaguars have had do you think have a winning record?
3.
Of all the head coaches they've had.
I have no idea how many head coaches they had. 3.
They've had They've had 10 head coaches.
Damn it.
Total. They've had 1 head coach with a winning record. Tom Coughlin with a 72-64 record is the only head coach with a winning record that the Jacksonville Jaguars have ever had. And then
That's
it
pretty
was
interesting.
69 and 73 for Jack Del Rio, 25 and 44 for Doug Marrone, 14 and 48 for Gus Bradley, and then Doug Peterson next on the list for most wins with 3. That's just absolutely absurd.
That is wild.
I can't get over this stat. It's ridiculous.
Dustin in the chat said Saturday was a consultant, but literally has 4 years of high school coaching. That's it. And was only 1 game over 500 in his high school career. Yeah, that is not promising. I honestly, Simon, I think your tank job narrative actually has some legs here.
It's got to be. Jim Irsay wants his franchise quarterback. He had Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck. He's going to go take Stroud or Young and call it a day and go, did it, saved Chris Ballard's job. We're good to go.
Wouldn't be a bad move, honestly. Wouldn't be a bad strategy. And I saw earlier that Peyton Manning is the betting favorite right now to be the next next Colts head coach.
That's just taking people's money, right? Like that, like that's just up there to like steal people's money. I feel like that's just the sportsbook saying like, money, please. Like
money, please.
They just threw the name Peyton up there with the best odds to try to get people excited. Though that would be a very Irsay move. Why would Peyton do that? He's got it made. Know what I mean? Like he's got his Papa John's deals. He's got the Manning cast. He's got enough.
I don't think
money
he has
for the
Papa
rest.
John's anymore.
Oh, did he? You're right.
I don't think he does Papa John's.
You are correct. But he's got enough money. He's got the Papa John's money in his pocket.
Yeah, that's true.
He's got all that money in his pocket.
Cash, that Papa dough.
Oh, he stole that Papa dough and ran with it. Like that would just be adding so much pressure to his life that would be unnecessary.
That's true.
Tommy and me said he would own the team before he coached it. I agree with that.
Probably. I bet you he's got a lot of money. I bet is his net worth public?
Probably. You can Google all sorts of stuff.
We should hack his bank account.
Yeah, good idea, Jail. Let's commit a crime on air for everyone to know about. We'll do it live on air, hacking Peyton Manning's bank account.
Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show. Nobody can stop us.
Front Yard Felony Morning Show.
Front Yard Felony Morning Show. I like that. And Tommy said pin code is 1818. So easy. So easy. I saw Matthew McConaughey is joining Jeff Bezos and Jay-Z on their bid for the Washington Commanders.
Jeff Bezos is just trying to make himself look cool. He's calling up the coolest
people he
knows.
with all the cool people.
He's calling up the coolest people he knows so that people don't make fun of him whenever he buys the team for being a bald, rich weirdo, right? Like he just wants to avoid that narrative. So he's like, okay, who are the coolest people I can get with me? Okay, Jay-Z, he's pretty freaking cool. He goes, all right. Oh, Matthew McConaughey. Like he said all right one time.
He like got there from he didn't start out there, but that's where he ended was on Matthew McConaughey.
He was like, all right, we got Jay-Z. All right. Oh,
all
okay.
Right.
Then I know who I need to call next. Who's he calling next, Jail? Who's the next coolest person that Jeff Bezos can think of that he's going to call to help own the team with him?
Kodak Black.
Kodak Black.
Meek Mill. He's going to steal Meek Mill from Robert Kraft.
I was thinking he would try to get maybe one of the Kardashians in on it with him.
Ooh,
he's gonna call up Kim Kardashian next, and it'll be Jay-Z, Kim Kardashian, Matthew McConaughey, and Jeff Bezos own the Washington Commanders.
Man, Kardashian would be an interesting play too. Just like the audience, like I imagine she tries to make like an audience play, tries to get her entire crew on just become football fans.
Yo, that would be fun. That would be fun if the like keeping up with the Kardashians fandom
like
and the NFL
basically
fandom,
Hard Knocks.
Twitter would explode if those two fandoms combined into one. It would be an absolute train wreck.
We need a Hard Knocks Keeping Up with the Kardashians crossover.
Let's do it. Let's make it happen. Keeping Up with the Commanders.
We can do it.
Tommy said keeping up with the Commanders.
Commanders is such a stupid name. Can we just can we get that out here? It's just so nothing. It's meh.
Of all the things that could have gone with, I'm going to stand my ground. Nobody ever agreed with me whenever I said this, Jail, but I stand by it that it would have been the coolest name. The Washington Monuments. They should have been the Monuments. The imagery behind that could have been so cool. And just the Washington, like I just feel like it's a cool name. Do you like the Washington Monuments?
I like it, but also we have a show where we just constantly say hogs and other funny things like that. So it stands like it makes sense that I would like it. I could understand why they might not want it.
I don't think it's funny.
Because of the penises.
I think, it is phallic shaped, isn't it?
And that's just like a common joke.
It is a big old phallic object, the Washington Monument. You're right. But I mean, right now, the Commanders, they're not getting any love for that name either. Know what I mean? At least the jokes could have been about a cool name.
At least they could have won over the internet.
What was it the Red Hogs, or what was the Hogs one that they were considering? There was one with Hogs in the title.
Is it War Hogs?
I can't remember what it was. It was like the Red Wolves, then there was something with Hogs. I'm going to look it up. But at the very least, they could have kept Washington football team. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they could have. I like the football team. I thought it was simple. I wish they would have just stuck with that.
Absolutely. But alas, they did not. Joey said the Groundhogs. That would have been a pretty cool name. That would have absolutely been a cool name. And then Tim said they should have been the Washington Machines. Is that it?
Washington Machines.
Is that Tim? Are you trying to say like washing machines? Is that the joke here? Because Washington, and they should have been the Washington Machines.
That's pretty good. Washington Machines.
The Washington Machines. It can fit so much laundry in there.
Washington Machines.
We had a question come in, JL. Dennis said, DST. I have Kansas City. They'll play Jacksonville. Or should I stream one of the following? Needs solid production, not huge upside. Denver going up against Tennessee with Tannehill, maybe not at 100%. Tennessee going against Denver, and we've seen the Denver offense so far this year. Or Arizona going up against the Los Angeles Rams, or Seattle going against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So would you start any of those defenses over Kansas City this week?
Can you run them back one more time?
I would love to. Denver going up against Tennessee in that same matchup against Denver, Arizona against the Rams, or Seattle against Tampa Bay. And we're choosing if we want any of these over Kansas City against Jacksonville.
Go with whoever's going against Tennessee. That first team.
You're not afraid of Derrick Henry running all over the Broncos?
No. The Broncos have a fantastic defense, fantastic run defense. I think they'll be all right.
Yeah, I don't mind them. I think I'm probably rolling with Denver as well going up against Tennessee, especially if Malik Willis is still playing. The Malik Willis looked better this past week than he did the week before. That being said, he's still a rookie quarterback and probably not ready to be a starter, and this Denver defense is still good, even with the absence of Bradley Chubb. They still have a great defense here in Denver.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Not too worried about it. Fantasy Dogging is saying Warthogs are way cool. Morning, guys. Yeah, Warthogs would have been a cool. Warthogs would have been a cool one. And then maybe like on the ESPN broadcasts, because Disney owns ESPN and Disney has Lion King, they could have had whichever one of Timon and Pumbaa is the Warthog. I get them mixed up every time, even though I've seen that movie. It's that Pumbaa, right? Pumbaa's the Warthog.
Yeah.
From Lion King?
Yeah.
Not Timon. Timon's the meerkat.
Yep. That's
Pumbaa
right.
is the Pumbaa, but they could have had on the ESPN broadcast little like Pumbaa commercials in the middle where he's talking about the Warthogs, right? They could have done cool stuff with that.
They could have, but they didn't.
Just on the ESPN and ABC broadcasts. Joe, there was a game last night that I'm sure you were pretty happy about. The Ravens beating the New Orleans Saints 27-13, and they were in control most of that game. It seemed like they had this one figured out for most of the game. Were you ever nervous that the Saints were going to pull it off? Did you ever have any fear, any doubt in your heart?
No, the Ravens looked fantastic last night. Roquan Smith, man, fantastic. He made an impact. The very first game he's there. You can see why the Ravens made this move. They're trying to go for a playoff run here. And they looked good. They looked very good. Kenyan Drake, 24 carries, 93 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 receptions, and 16 yards. Man, Kenyan Drake is turning out to be a very good ad, a very valuable ad in fantasy. I said a couple weeks ago, Simon, that he looked good. What did you see last night? Did you think
he looked good?
You agree?
He had some great runs. Every time they would then put like Justice Hill in, I was like, what are you doing? Like Kenyan Drake back out there. But looking at the box score, it felt like Justice Hill was in there a lot more than he actually was.
4 carries, 11 yards, 1 reception for 8 yards.
Yeah. Kenyan Drake had that burst. He broke tackles. Like he was doing things out there that this Baltimore Ravens offense wants him to do. And he is a serviceable starter whenever Gus Edwards is out. Like I think they've got to feel pretty good about what they've got as their backup running back behind Gus Edwards right now.
Yeah, and I think Gus Edwards is supposed to be out week 10. So at least for the next week, it is lights up, wheels up,
hogs up,
hogs up,
tables up, tables up for Kenyan Drake. Lamar Jackson did not have his best game yesterday, though. They won, but he did not have his best game. Only going 12 for 22. little bit over 50% completion percentage, 133 yards and 1 touchdown. But he did add 82 yards on the ground, JL. So he got it done for you in fantasy, but not his best passing game. And there were some wide open throws that he missed. And I know he was beating himself up about it too. You could see him. There was one where he just missed and he just laid down on the ground in the middle of the field. He was not happy with his performance passing yesterday, you could tell. But he's still Lamar Jackson. He's still great, and he's got better games ahead. And when you get 82 rushing yards, it doesn't really matter if you only throw for 133 passing yards.
Right. He's going against the Saints defense, which isn't terrible. Yeah, they looked decent last night going against him. I'm not worried at all. Lamar Jackson still fantastic. And the passes they did have, they looked pretty good. They looked on point.
Dale, I believe we had a bet. I made a stupid bet. I bet Isaiah Likely wouldn't be a top 10 tight end, and I didn't even believe that. But I was trying to make the point that I think he's going up against a tough defense, and I'm not sure he's a slam dunk start even with Mark Andrews out. And I stand by that. He had 1 catch, but that 1 catch was for 1 reception for 24 yards and a touchdown. He got the touchdown on 5 targets, but he got that touchdown, and it saved his fantasy week. Put him up at above 9 fantasy points, and he was tight end 9 in PPR formats. Top 10 tight end this week, and all it took was 1 touchdown catch.
That's all it takes for some of these tight ends. That's all it takes. And
top 10 was a dumb bet.
Maybe for tight end position, but he's also the most targeted player on the team.
Yeah.
So, I think both processes are right? Like the individual game, but yeah. And tight end this week. I don't even remember. Was it an animal noise?
It was an animal with an accent, if I remember correctly.
Right. Okay. So chat, let us know what animal you want Simon to impersonate in the chat, or what animal noise you want him to do, and we will have him pay that out.
We'll make it happen. Taysom Hill do all that well, but he did complete a pass. They threw him in there. 1 pass for 13 yards. And then on the very next play, they left him in, and you knew for sure what he was going to do, right? They just had him throw the ball. They're not going to have him do it again. Taysom Hill is going to just barrel up the middle for somewhere between 5 and 9 yards, and the defense just eats it. They just say, okay. And that's exactly what he did. Run straight up the middle, get 6 yards. Taysom Hill does what Taysom Hill does. I'm just so confused how that happens so consistently. How every time he runs the ball, he just gets a minimum 5 yards straight up the middle. How do they not know it's coming?
I don't know. He did pass this time, though. 1 completion, 13 yards. So watch out.
It was a bullet. He had some heat behind that throw. He hit Chris Olave with more pressure than that dude's felt from Andy Dalton all season. Almost knocked him over.
Yeah.
Didn't know he had that arm strength behind him. I had a cool moment during the game yesterday where usually when I've got football on, my girlfriend doesn't care that much about it, but she looked up and there was something that just looked wrong to her. And it was the 311-pound man lined up next to Lamar Jackson as the running back. She just knew something was wrong about the offensive line-sized man not standing with all the other big guys. She was like, why is that one big guy back there with the small guys when all the other big guys are up there? And I was like, oh, this is so exciting because now we get to talk about one of the coolest positions in football, the fullback. It's just this giant man. It's a dated position, Ricard, and that was the moment.
Too. He looks so massive.
He's 311 pounds. They should give him the ball more often. I just love watching him out there. And when he's throwing blocks, it's like an extra offensive lineman for Lamar Jackson. I looked it up last night because I was curious. The average weight for an offensive lineman since 2000, JL, 314 pounds for a guard, 315 pounds for a tackle.
That would have been a great Price is Right category.
It would have, and now I wasted it. I just can't use it whenever we're playing, JL. I got to wait till the time when you're not playing Price is Right, and then we'll throw it in there.
Sorry to sidetrack.
You're good, but he literally is the weight of an offensive lineman. Know what I mean? If the average is 314, he's got that weight. He's just fun to watch play out there. I know he only had 1 carry for 2 yards yesterday, but I love watching a big fullback in the backfield.
Yeah, and the announcers always have to highlight it too. No matter what, every single time they got to talk fullback.
Because why not, right? You have to. Whenever there's a giant man back there carrying the ball, you got to highlight it. Everyone loves a big guy touchdown too. And usually you think offensive lineman or something like that, or maybe they throw a defensive player in there to catch one. Christian Wilkins did a couple of those in his Clemson days. I think he got one in his rookie season as well in the NFL, if I'm not mistaken. They got a Christian Wilkins touchdown out there for him. But when a fullback does it, it just feels right. It's like, this is how it's supposed to be. This is football. You think
Albert in the chat said, "Good morning, everyone." Good morning, Albert. Good
what's
to
up,
see you,
Albert?
friend.
Glad to have you in here. And we had a question from Dennis in here. He said, 10-team half PPR, would you drop Brian Robinson for Hawkinson?
Yes.
Would you drop, or for Rashard White, Eno Benjamin, Isiah Pacheco, Terrace Marshall, Wan'Dale Robinson, Darius Slayton, Donovan Peoples-Jones, looking for 10-plus points and upside rest of season? So I would definitely drop him for Hawkinson after what we saw. If you need a tight end, I'd also drop him for Rashard White. I think I'd drop him for Wan'Dale Robinson. What about you, Jale?
Oh, okay. I was reading this differently, and I realized that was just because I'm dumb. Those are these other players are the players who are on the waiver. Yeah, Hawkinson is the one that really stands out. I would drop Brian Robinson, absolutely, but I would prioritize him over those other guys.
Yeah, I'm with you. You would prioritize Hawkinson over those guys. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm prioritizing Hawkinson in
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis and the New England Patriots.
New England. We need to. We'll just get. Eventually, we'll have the entire NFL with new names. It'll be great.
The Minneapolis.
Simon's legend to the NFL teams.
The Minneapolis. I'm just going to call them the Vikings from now on. They're the Patriots and they're the Vikings. You are in my head.
The Minnesota Vikings.
I can't get out of my head. Jale, after Isaiah Likely yesterday on this Ravens side of the ball, no other player got more than 4 targets. Demarcus Robinson with 4, and then it was spread out a lot. 2 for James Prochet, 2 for Deshaun Jackson, 2 for Josh Oliver, the tight end, 1 for Devin Duvernay. Lamar Jackson spread the ball out. No, I fell asleep right after the game ended.
The post-game interview with Lamar, I only caught a bit of it, but I'm pretty sure like the first thing that he brings up was how he missed his man Demarcus Robinson on multiple throws. And so that was kind of interesting to me because Demarcus Robinson is that guy. Like I thought Demarcus Robinson was going to be a thing when Patrick Mahomes was a rookie, and him and Demarcus Robinson were getting a lot of like looks in the they time together in the preseason. I thought Demarcus Robinson might actually turn into something. So it's just interesting to see Lamar, bring him up in the post interview on those catches.
Yeah, that is interesting. He was more involved than I thought he was going to be, which was 0. I expected more targets to go Devin Duvernay's way, but they did not. 1 target for Devin Duvernay.
I told you, man. I told you we can't trust Duvernay. I'm now anti-Duvernay. I've already been anti-Duvernay, but now I'm double anti-Duvernay.
Duvernay, more like Duvernay. I got confused and thought his name was actually Duvernay. Duvernay, more like Duvernay. There we go. That's better.
Am I right?
Yeah, we had a question coming in from Dennis, and he wanted to know, he said Deshaun Watson got an 11-game suspension, but I read week 13 will be his first game. He goes, correct? Why? Well, first, it's because he had an 11-game suspension, and there's a bye week in there. So if their bye week was later in the season, miss 11 games, week 12 would be the first week. They had their bye week in week 9, the Browns did, I believe. So that adds an extra week. So his 11th game missing would be week 12. So week 13 is his first week back. Because he's missing 11 games, not 11 weeks, right? So that bye week adds another week onto it. He says he's got Kyler Murray and need a quarterback, but I don't want to pick him up 2 weeks prior. The alternatives are Goff, Jimmy G, and Mariota. So, Jay, would you be picking up Deshaun Watson to put on your bench 2 weeks prior for Kyler Murray's week 13 bye? Or are you waiting and picking up Jared Goff, Jimmy G, or Mariota closer to week 13?
I would pick Deshaun Watson up. If you can use him and serve as a serviceable QB during your bye week when he does come back, he's the superior option in my mind.
I'm with you. If you've got room on your bench, I would hold Deshaun Watson for those 2 weeks as well. The other options aren't inspiring. Like maybe if you had told me there was a Fields or a Lawrence or something on the waiver wire that you were hoping would make it the next 2 weeks, I'd be cool with it. But that's probably not the case anymore in most leagues. So I'm rolling with it.
Yeah, we got some people in the chat with suggestions here for your animal bet. You want to pay that out, Simon?
Let's do it. Let's do it whenever Jay joins us. So I can have a look. Okay. Whenever Jay joins us, then I'll pay it out.
Lazy leopard from Maria. We got a Norwegian hog from Tommy or a pushy penguin from Maria. So I'll decide. Whenever Jay comes on, we'll have you do it.
Those are some good ones. Those are some absolutely good ones. Guys, coming up, our friend Jay is going to join us, and we're going to play a little bit of Fact or Flash. And then we've got some match game for you a little bit later in today's show as well. As going over the waiver wire, we're going to do a waiver wire simulator later on today's show. If you're enjoying what we do over here, make sure you head on over to our YouTube channel at Front Yard Fantasy and hit that subscribe button and check out what we're doing over there. It's more football talk, more games, and more fun with the FYF squad. Yep. We would love to have you over there. Guys, you're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team while you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Better Sports Network.
Surely. Kickers never retire, I think. They just continue playing for all eternity. Like, there's only ever been 30 NFL kickers.
Yeah, they're always readily available too. It seems like, you know what I mean. Like they just get called up. They're like, you kicked for us 10 years ago, right? Why don't you
run it back? That's right.
I imagine
Graham
every
Gano,
single kicker that gets the call is on a high school football field somewhere, just practicing field goals after hours. Like it's like 9 p.m. and they're out there just the local high school kicking field goals, and the phone rings. They get the call and they're like, yeah, I'm ready. I've been practicing for this.
I have an amazing kicker story. If you guys have a second.
I got a couple.
The number one all-time field goal kicker is Adam Vinatieri. The next two guys are Morton and Gary Anderson, right? Gary Anderson was a dude from like South Africa that just played rugby and soccer. He just could absolutely boot the ball, right? They bring him over and he does like a tryout and he's just absolutely crushing the ball. And all these colleges are like, dude, we want you to come kick field goals for us. And he goes, I don't even want to play football. He goes, I want to play soccer. He goes, I want to play soccer. He goes, so if I can come to your school and play soccer, I'll also, in the fall, I'll kick for the football team. And Syracuse was like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like, you're on the soccer team. Like, come on. And he went to Syracuse to play soccer, but also kick field goals. And then he ended up being a top 3 point scorer in the NFL all the time.
That's ridiculous.
And his answer to recruiters was, I don't want to play football. I'll do it in my spare time.
Yeah.
He's like, you got a spot for me in the soccer team. Syracuse is like, yeah, we got a spot for you.
We don't even care about our soccer team.
We don't even care.
We totally have that spot.
Right? They had to like cobble together a soccer team. Like, yeah, this guy's the captain.
Oh my God. It's like Accepted, the movie, but they just like had to throw together a whole fake soccer team.
Somehow they still got Justin Long.
Right, yeah. Like Adam Sandler's the coach. And dude, imagine they win the national championship. That's a movie, dog. Yeah.
Boom!
Someone call up Disney. Yeah, we just wrote a movie for you, Disney. This has Disney sports movie written all over. I'm borderline crying right here just thinking about this movie right now.
Dude, the story is even crazier. Like I should have looked it up again, but like it was like a high school coach that went and found him, and then that high school coach ended up being somebody crazy famous that like coached for the Rams.
Stay tuned for sports. Talk about your picks, your fantasy teams, and your sports collectibles on Better Sports Network.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. And joining us now for the rest of the show is our friend and Front Yard fam member, G-Man Jay. What's up, Jay?
What's going on? Can you guys actually hear me this morning? Is that actually working? So
coming in loud and clear.
There we go. And I before I joined, and I believe yesterday you said the animal was a French cockatiel. Now I don't know if you guys want to change that. But that's what you said yesterday, and I like that one. I think that's a good one.
It's an option. It's an example, but I think we're going to go with the chat here. And I think we're going to go with the number one, the OG chat member, Maria, with Pushy Penguin. Pushy Penguin. So Simon, will you give us your best Pushy Penguin impersonation?
Yeah, of course. I know exactly what a penguin sounds like from all my time listening to penguins.
It might be easier for you if you just really get in the
you think I
really
wasn't
embodied the penguin.
You think I wasn't gonna act like a penguin while I made a pushy penguin?
I wasn't making an assumption. I wasn't making the assumption.
Happy Feet was a documentary, right? Just you.
Okay, let's see. pushy penguin. So I'm taking this kind of like the Karen vibes. Like this penguin's asking to speak to your manager is what's going on here.
Very
Waddle up,
pushy.
flip my hair over my big sunglasses, my big chunky sunglasses. How was that? Pretty good.
It was a little high pitched, but I liked it. But I liked
Penguin's
it.
not high pitched.
I don't think so. I think they're more of like a wah, 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 wah,
Oh, you're
type of
right.
thing.
That's Pingu on the dot. As soon as you did that, I was like, that's exactly what Pingu sounds like. And
What
Pingu's
is
my.
Pingu?
You don't know Pingu?
No.
It's a Swiss television series about a little claymation penguin.
Oh, who
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
know? Oh, I only know because of the GIFs.
Look
I've
up,
seen
type
the
in
GIFs.
Pingu, and you'll recognize him. He's a little, and he
Oh.
goes, wah, 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 wah,
Wah, wah,
wah. That's all
wah.
he says.
Yeah.
Fantasy Dog said, "Oh my God, you guys are good. You are
guys
are
are good."
way too kind, Fantasy
Wow,
Dog.
that's very accurate.
You are way too kind. We are. If we're good, then you are the nicest person on earth." And Tim said, "Dude,
Morning,
they
Fantasy
sound
Dog.
like aliens. Penguins sound
They
like
sound
aliens."
Wah, wah,
And
wah,
Tim,
wah.
You know what, Tim? In order to let us know what a penguin sounds like, gave us something that's even less relatable: an alien. You know, something
No,
that we
you know
all know
what?
what aliens sound like.
If anybody knows what an alien sounds like, it's Tim.
No, if
Let's
anyone
be
knows what an alien sounds like, it's my Uber driver on Saturday who very casually told us during the car ride that the day
This is what an
before
alien sounds like.
he got out of his car with his 9mm because there was a UFO hovering above him. He said the size of a battleship. He said, I got out of my car. And I said, so you brought
Did
a
you-
9mm to a spaceship fight? And he said, like I was like, I don't think you were doing much with your 9mm against a battleship-sized UFO, man. He's like, yeah, I just didn't know what to do. He's like, that's all I had on me.
You're a better man than me. I would have opened the door and rolled out as we were going down.
He would have pulled out his 9mm. Where?
Let's go.
Here's the rules. When you have an interesting Uber driver, you're stuck in the car. Just make it the most interesting trip of your life. You know what I mean? Like, encourage it. Hear what they got to say. If someone's trying to like sell you their CD, if someone's telling you about their pyramid scheme, if someone's telling you they fought an alien with a gun the day before, you ask questions and you learn more. Because in 10 minutes, you're going to be out of that vehicle and you just get as much out of that experience as you can.
You hope you're going to be out of that vehicle.
Got to get as much of the story that you can retell later on, as much as you can.
Absolutely. Guys, we are about to play a game we call Fact or Flash. It's a segment where we're going to go around round robin. We're going to bring up a player that had a great game this week, a good game, had a good performance, and we're going to determine whether that performance is fact or if it was just a flash in the pan. You guys ready for some of this?
Let's do it.
Yep.
Let's do it. Our first player I wanted to bring up, we talked about him a little bit a second ago. Kenyan Drake had 93 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns this week. Got it done a little bit in the receiving game as well, being the third most targeted receiver on this team. 2 targets, 2 receptions, 16 yards. Jay.
Yards.
Fact or flash for Mr. Kenyan Drake?
So I'm going to ride the fence here a little bit. I think as long as Gus Edwards is out, it's fact. I think he's going to be the one that gets the most usage in this backfield. I know I have poo-pooed Kenyan Drake a little bit this season, but he's looked good when he's got the opportunity. The only problem is they are definitely going to use Gus Edwards when he comes back. So as long as he's out, I think he's a startable, honestly, a back-end RB2. Once Gus Edwards comes back, you're looking more of a flex play. So fact and flash.
JL, after Jay just totally hedged, what are you going with here? Are you hedging as well?
I think Jay is like his hedge is probably accurate, but Kenyan Drake, I think you're putting a little bit too much stock in Gus Edwards here. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they come back and they do use Gus Edwards, but I don't think it is a sure thing. I think Kenyan Drake, we've never seen Kenyan Drake on this Ravens team. So, to look at Gus Edwards' usage back before Kenyan Drake was on the team might be a mistake. We might see Kenyan Drake be the lead guy here, even if Gus Edwards does come back.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go with fact for Kenyan Drake. I think he's just looked good. When a running back looks that good out there on the field and given the opportunity, I'm gonna go with fact. And it's not like Gus Edwards is entrenched as the starter, right? He wasn't J.K. Dobbins was assumed to be the starter at the beginning of the season. Gus getting work because J.K. Dobbins went out. He came back from injury. I think we see a split between these guys whenever Gus Edwards is back because Kenyan Drake has been doing work for this offense when given the opportunity. He looked good last night. Like he legitimately looked like a really good running back against not a joke of a New Orleans Saints defense. Like, this is a decent defense that he did this against. I'm going fact. We got 2.5 facts for Kenyan Drake after that one. I think that officially makes him a fact.
No, you guys convinced me. Clean sweep. It's a fact.
We convinced him. We did it, JL.
Ooh, thanks. Almost forgot about me there.
Almost forgot about half of them.
Almost just to replace me with Jay.
No, just I replace you with John. Just John. Guys, the next player we want to talk about was Cole Kmet. He had 5 receptions for 41 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns, making it a pretty good performance for him. He was the second highest scoring tight end on the week in PPR formats behind only Dallas Goedert. And he added 9 rushing yards on the ground. Dale, factor flash for Mr. Cole Kmet.
Cole, MF, and Kmet. It is fact for Cole Kmet. He is someone who has been talented in the past, who has been talented prospect coming into the league. It's a weird thing to say.
It's true, though. I mean, he has been talented in the past.
He still
has
is,
been talented in the past. The reason that it's fact is that I think the Chicago Bears offense is going to continue to find ways to make it work. Their next 2 matchups are against Detroit and Atlanta, which are positive matchups for Cole Kmet and Justin Fields. He's not going to get 2 touchdowns every week. He's not going to get 1 touchdown every week. So I'm a little hesitant to go full fact here, but I think it is more fact than it is flash.
Jay, what about you? Are you agreeing with JL here? You think it's more fact than flash, or do you think this is a flash in the pan?
I love Cole Kmet, but I have to go flash. There's just not enough passing volume in this offense. And they added Chase Claypool, who I think is going to be involved as well. And I was just looking. This is the first game this season that he's received over 4 targets. Previous couple of games, 2, 3, 3, 4, 3, 3. You just can't rely on those touchdowns. I think he went from not really even being considered a start to being in the glob where you can consider him. But I think a performance like this is a flash.
Performance like this as a flash, yes. I'm on board with that. So maybe it's my definition of factor flash that's messed up here, because I don't think he's going to score 19 points every week. That's not fact.
Are you comfortable, if you don't have the Kelce's, the Mark Andrews, are you comfortable starting him every week?
No, he's deep in the glob. But
so that's kind of how I'm viewing it, JL. Is like, did this elevate him? Is what I'm seeing like elevating him to somewhere I'm comfortable starting him? Like, at least for the tight end position. Like, has he separated himself from that glob with this performance or with what we're seeing? And I'm torn. Like, I am torn because, Jay, what you mentioned about the passing volume, it's still low, but it has gone up from the beginning of the season. Those first 3 games, Justin Fields with 17, 11, and 17 attempts. The past 4, it's been 28, 23, 21, and 27. Not a high pass volume, but more, right? That's a big step up from 11 or 17 pass attempts. That being said, I still don't think it's enough to consistently support a tight end 1 in Cole Kmet. I don't think you can expect even startable games from him on a weekly basis. That being said, he'll have more games where he catches the touchdown and you're happy with it. I'll go with fact for talent, flash for fantasy. So I guess that makes it a flash for me.
If you've got
I'll switch to flash.
Okay. If you've got the room, I think he's a guy that you do want on your bench in case this does continue to grow. Like Simon said, if the passing volume does continue, he does have the talent. You know, he's been talented in the past. It can happen. So I think, you know, if you don't have one of those stud tight ends, you know, if you can hold on to 2, you know, him and Evan Ingram, or him and Greg Dulcich, you know, and just hoping that one of them breaks out, I think he's definitely worth stashing on your bench.
We got a triple flash, but with a nod to the talent of Cole Kmet. A nod. Yeah. There you go, Cole Kmet.
I think he's worth picking up for sure.
Yep, definitely.
But yeah, definitely not a 20-point tight end every week.
Also, Fantasy Dog in here saying Jay is cool. Oh, my.
I like you, Fantasy Dog. You're my friend.
Me too. Woof, woof. The next player I wanted to talk to you guys about, Jeff Wilson Jr. He had 51 rushing yards, 3 receptions for 21 receiving yards, and 1 receiving touchdown. This is off 9 carries in his first game as a Miami Dolphin. JL, factor flash for Jeff Wilson.
It is fact for me. I think Simon's going to disagree with me, but I mean, this is his very first game in Miami, and they used him. 9 carries, 51 yards, 3 targets, 3 receptions, 21 yards, and a receiving touchdown. I think it's only up from here. This game, they were passing a ton. It wasn't a run game. The game script was not in Jeff Wilson's favor, and he still turned that into 14.7 points, fantasy points here in half PPR. It is fact for me. Jeff Wilson, I think, is going to be solid. I think he's going to be a solid option rest of the year.
Jay, fact or flash?
Completely agree. It's fact. I think I said it last week. I think he's a potential league winner if he winds up getting the majority of the carries in this backfield. And that's definitely within the realm of possibility. I mean, it feels like he's been around forever. It feels like he's been, in the league for 10 years, but he's still only 26 years old. So for a running back, he's still right in the thick of his prime, in a system that he's comfortable with. We've seen him perform, and Raheem Mostert hasn't been able to stay on the field. Like JL said, I mean, to come over midweek and get that type of usage, he looked explosive. I'm all in on Jeff Wilson Jr.
I think it's the name that makes him feel older. Jeff Wilson, like that sounds like he's
the junior on the end there too. Is just like that is
Smith Jr.
Somehow
like,
Junior.
Are you old or young?
Yeah,
right,
somehow Junior makes him sound old. Like
Right.
I don't know. Maybe it's the antiquated like naming your child after you. Is that antiquated now, or is that like I feel like most juniors I know are older.
It does feel antiquated, and maybe this is just a personal bias thing, but I just find it odd. Like I find it a little odd.
I think it's
To
cool
name-
sometimes though.
Sometimes it's cool, yeah, for sure. But I think most of the time it's just like, oh, that's cool. You really liked your name.
Right.
If your name serves
my
you
son Brooks' middle name is my name, so it's Brooks Jason. So has his own name, but kind of has a little bit of me too.
I don't mind a junior. I think it's cool to like pass on the name. There's something fun about that, to pass the name on, keep it rolling. And then you share like a special thing, like what it's like to grow up with that name, and now your child's growing up with that name. That being said, I just feel like I associate it with older players or older people. I feel like I don't know that many juniors. My sister dated a guy that was the fourth, and the name that passed down was Kermit. Kermit was the name that had to be passed down. And so from like the very early days in that relationship, she was like, I can't marry this guy because then I would have to name my child Kermit. I can't be the one who breaks the streak after 4. Like, what are we just going to stop it after 4? That's not fair.
Oh, that's pretty bad though. What was it? Hermit?
Kermit, like the frog.
Kermit. Like
Kermit the frog. Oh man.
not easy
Sorry.
being green. That Kermit.
Oh boy. Sorry, Kermit. All the Kermits out there. That's a tough name.
Jail, you had a look in your eyes like I do not know who you're talking about when we said Kermit the Frog. You just had a look in your eyes like never heard of him. It was a Jason Statham moment, wasn't it? You've never seen Kermit the Frog?
I have seen Kermit the Frog because I've been on the internet.
I was just trying to grasp for something there.
Guys,
the next player that I want to know if they were factor flash is undrafted free agent rookie running back for the Carolina Panthers, Raheem Blackshear, who got into the end zone this week. He only had 5 rushes, 13 rushing yards, but he had a rushing touchdown, and he added 4 receptions for 40 receiving yards through the air. A decent fantasy week in his first action for the Panthers. JL, factor flash, Raheem Blackshear.
This is a flash. This is a total flash. The Panthers were pretty much out of this game. Raheem Blackshear filling in for Chuba Hubbard. I don't see him being a massive factor in this offense going forward.
Yeah, I'm with you, JL. It's cool to see a player get that opportunity, especially this early into the career after coming out as a undrafted free agent, being on a practice squad with the Bills. Know what I mean? Then to get this opportunity, I'm cheering for him, but this is flash. Whenever Chuba Hubbard's back, it's going to be a split between Foreman and Hubbard, and I think Blackshear is the one who misses out on the carries. And Toronto Dave in here, shout out Chuba. Dave always keeps us honest with shouting out the Canadian players. Shout out Chuba Hubbard.
I didn't know Chuba was Canadian.
I'm fully trusting Dave here because I didn't know that either, but 100% trust in Toronto Dave. Dave, you can tell me anything in here and I'll just believe you.
You know what? Shout out Toronto Dave.
Facts.
What were you about to say, Joe?
I lost the comment, so I was trying to find it again. Fantasy Dog said, Maynard is our family name. My middle name is Maynard, and our brother's name is Maynard.
That's fun.
My dad's name is Maynard, and my grandfather's name is Ralph.
That's my dad and my uncle. So my grandfather's name is Robert, and my dad's name is Robert Joseph. And then my uncle, who is younger than him, his first name is Joseph. And I think that's like a family name that goes back to. But my brother is also Robert, but they all have different middle names.
I thought you were going to say they were all spelled differently. Like, just how many ways can you spell Robert?
It's actually spelled Bobbert, but you pronounce it Robert.
One of them uses a 0 instead of an O.
Right.
Fantasy Dog, that read like a Mitch Hedberg joke almost. Like, Maynard is a family name. And then my grandpa's name, is Ralph. And then Joe goes. That's the end of it, right?
I could so hear Mitch Hedberg dropping that line.
Right. As soon as Jail said Ralph, the whole thing replayed in Mitch Hedberg's voice in my mind. As next player, Factor Flash, is Noah Fant, tight end for the Seattle Seahawks. He had 5 receptions and 96 receiving yards. Jay, Factor Flash for Noah Flant at the tight end position.
Noah Fant doesn't really matter. It's a flash. I've liked the talent. I've got him on a couple of dynasty teams, but the only guys I want in this offense are DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. You haven't seen it consistently enough. Will Dissly's gotten involved. A bunch of different guys have gotten involved outside of those 2 top wide receivers, and obviously Kenneth Walker III. But I'm not interested long term, unless we start to see this more consistently.
Joe, what about you? Do you agree with Jay here? It's a flash?
Yeah, I agree. It's a flash. I think Noah Fant has the talent to be a fact player. But this week, he went up against Arizona. Arizona historically bad in tight end coverage. I don't see this. I do see him being able to get like 6 targets a game. That's not absurd. He's been right under that, mostly averaging throughout the season. He just hasn't been able to turn it into anything like he did this past week. So I think it is flash this week, but I want to keep an eye on Noah Fant.
I think for me, the reason it's flash is exactly what Fantasy Dog in here said. First, he said he looked good, though. They used 3 tight ends, and it's the fact that they're using all 3 of these tight ends with fairly similar usage. Will Dissly, Noah Fant, and Colby Parkinson were all on the field 40% of the time or more, with Will Dissly and Noah Fant being on the field around 60% of the time. So they're on the field more than Colby Parkinson. But it's not Noah Fant as the one tight end in this offense, right? They're going to continue to use Will Dissly. They're going to continue to use Colby Parkinson. It's a flash for Noah Fant. I don't think you can start him week in, week out. And Fantasy Nav in here, Eric saying, if you have 3 tight ends, you don't have 1. Am I right? Am I right or am I right? You are so right, Eric. You are so right. Flash for me. We got a triple flash for Noah Fant.
Triple flash.
Triple.
Woo! Spring break, baby. Triple flash. Dustin said Fant is a fact, though. He thinks Fant is a fact. Do you think that's based on talent alone? Can you guys make an argument for Fant as a fact? JL, it sounded like you were starting to lay out the foundation for one.
Yeah, he's a talented player, first-round draft talent. I think that's still there. He's able to do some stuff in Denver. I mean, he wasn't like completely useless, but the Denver offense just wasn't able to make it happen. Now he's in Seattle, and like you guys said, the usage just hasn't been a focal point of the Seattle offense. So until he is, just gotta wait.
It feels like OJ Howard all over again. Like first round talent, super height, super athletic, and just it never comes together.
What do you mean it never comes together? He had 2 touchdowns with the Houston Texans week 1 of this year, Jay. I believe it was week 1, right?
Right. Yeah. So if that's your highlight of your career, then yeah, you're a flash.
Yeah, I was so hyped on OJ Howard. I just hold on to anything.
I'm with you. And especially when he went to Buffalo, I was like, all right, here we go. Put him in this Buffalo offense.
All he needed was Davis Mills and the Texans to unlock his true potential in 1 week. And
how many times can we say that?
Every time. Honestly, that's what most players need is a change of scenery to Houston with Davis Mills chucking them the ball.
Right.
To make it work out.
Davis Mills is the truth. Elite
neck.
He's up there with Mike Glennon. Him and Mike Glennon. They got some competition going on.
They got some sick neck on them.
I get scared. I get scared watching players with really long necks, and I know that's weird, but every time I see them, I'm like, it's gonna break. It's gonna break. Like they're gonna get
extra whiplash or something, just like they get tackled and
exactly. I'm like,
too long.
It's gonna break. Like it's not even that it looks weird. It's just like I'm like, that is not the right neck shape to be a football player who's gonna get tackled by the largest and strongest men in the world. That is a hazard to your health to be out there. I get so nervous. I'm also just a little bit of a worrywart whenever it comes to injuries for other people. You guys, it always makes fun of me. It says whenever I'm rock climbing like I hate my life. Like, and that's how it goes with all sports. Like all sports that I've ever played. Like once I'm in there and the competitiveness takes over, like I will put my body on the line. It doesn't matter. Competitiveness takes over any fears I have of injury.
Yep, I'm with you.
Every single time. Dale, the next player I want to know if they're fact or flash is a wide receiver that stepped up with the 2 top wide receivers for the Chargers out. Joshua Palmer had 8 receptions for 106 receiving yards this week. No touchdowns, but you're pretty happy with that fantasy performance. That alone is 18.6 PPR fantasy points. Factor flash for Joshua Palmer.
You asking me?
Yeah.
I'm going to go flash. I'm going to go flash. And the reason being that I expect Keenan Allen and Mike Williams to come back this season. Keenan Allen probably sooner than Mike Williams. Mike Williams, we have at least till week 11, I believe. Is that right?
I believe so.
4? At least until week 11 or 12, where we see Mike Williams even begin to think about coming back. So it is flash until then.
Jay, what about you? Are you agreeing with JL that this is flash, or do you think this is fact?
I am not. I think just your expectations have to shift when those guys come back. I think that Justin Herbert's getting healthy. At the beginning of the season, even with Mike Williams on the field, he was still producing. And as we've seen, both of these guys just can't stay healthy. So it would not be surprised to see one or both of them miss an extended period of time. But with Justin Herbert getting healthy, starting to look a little better, I still think that if both Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are back, I think he's a serviceable flex play. So I think it's fact.
I'm with you, Jay. I think even when those guys come back, he's startable. I think he has shown that he's a good wide receiver, and he'll be involved in this offense. Not to this degree, not as the number one wide receiver, not as a guy that you're expecting top 12 wide receiver numbers from in a given week, but a guy that is a wide receiver 3. You know what I mean? Someone that you can plug into that flex spot and feel pretty good about it. So I'm going to go fact for Josh Palmer. I've been happy with what I've seen so far. We've got 2 facts and 1 flash, and a shout out from Toronto. Dave, shout out Palmer from the Toronto area.
Throw in a poll in the chat. Fact or flash, Joshua Palmer. You let us know. In the FYF chat, you can vote.
Yeah, and every vote counts the same unless we decide to ignore your votes.
That's true.
Beautiful.
That is how it works.
Jail, and you know what? That is a good reminder. While you're voting on that poll, guys, today is Election Day. If you have not done so already, if you haven't early voted, it is very important. It is your civic duty, and what an honor to get to go vote. So go out there and make sure you guys are voting in your local elections today. I'm
going right after this show.
Me too. I looked up my polling location, Jail. I just got to walk like 50 feet. It is nice, just right? Around the corner. Like, oh my God. Like I was like, I'm going to have to figure out how to get there. I'm going to have to drive. Like, oh wait, but my car doesn't work. So I'm going to have to Uber. And then I pulled it up and it was like, no, you just have to like roll out of bed and then you can vote. It's right there down the street.
Yeah. Mine is an equal distance, Simon. It's about 50 feet away. So I'm just going to walk right over there. Should be nice.
I do have to drive to mine, unfortunately.
Sucker.
Eric in here said, don't be a jerk. Just vote. And also, Better Boston, you're saying, don't forget to vote no on kickers and defenses in fantasy football. Yeah, yes. That should be on your ballots. Make sure you vote for that as well.
Yes.
Ban kickers.
Ban kickers. Guys, we had a question come in here from Carter. Carter wanted to know Josh Palmer or Brandon Ayuk. Josh Palmer or Brandon Ayuk. I'm guessing rest of season. Jail.
I was going to guess this week.
Or I'll guess this week as well then. You changed my mind. You were very convincing.
That's what I do.
Who are you going
you
with?
Want me to go first?
Yeah, who are you going with? Are you going with Palmer? Chargers are going up against, who do they got this week? They got the 49ers this week, and then it's the same the other way around for Brandon Ayuk. He's got the Chargers.
I'm going to go with, I'm going to go with Joshua Palmer. Mike Williams and Keenan Allen are both out this week again. And we know Mike Williams is, then I'm going to go Joshua Palmer.
If Keenan Allen's back, does it change your answer?
Yeah, I'd go Ayuk.
You'd go Ayuk if Allen's back. What about you, Jay?
I agree exactly what JL set up. My initial thought was Ayuk, but the targets that he's going to get if both guys are out, you can't pass that up. I love Ayuk. He's really turned it on as of late, but there's so many other options. Wouldn't be surprised to see Debo back, George Kittle, CMC. Palmer's got the path to number 1 targets on that team. You got to go with him.
Man, Ayuk has been killing it though, right? Like it hasn't been I think he's been one of the surprises of this season. I think I agree with you guys, though. If both wide receivers are out, if Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are out, you have to start the number 1 wide receiver for a Justin Herbert that's getting healthier, even against this tough Rams defense. But if even one of them is back, which would be Keenan Allen, roll with Ayuk. Ayuk
outscored Joshua Palmer this week.
He's good. Ayuk has been good. He's playing all the snaps.
I was going to say he did not.
I read the week wrong. I read week 8. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I thought Joshua Palmer had a pretty good week.
I was sitting there. I was like, Well, he's still good, but I still am leaving my answer the same way. The poll, so far, Joshua Palmer winning the poll over there, but has not done it yet. We had another question come in here. Tyson wants to know, in a 20-team league, pick up one of Christian Watson, Sammy Watkins, or Samori Toure, the wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers. Which player are you guys picking up in a 20-team league?
Probably Christian Watson.
Yep.
That sucks.
Yeah, that's where I'm headed. I know that the Clemson and you wanted to say Sammy Watkins.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I got to go Christian Watson as well. You got to, at this point in his career, we know what Sammy Watkins is, unfortunately. Sam Watson, you got to take the shot. Maybe he can be the guy with Dobbs out long term.
I'm with you. It's Christian Watson for me as well. I'm taking the shot. My expectations aren't high, but in a 20-team league, you're picking up lottery tickets off the waiver wire. Also, we had another question from Tyson. He wanted to know KJ Hamler and Chris Moore are also options if you would prefer either of them over Christian Watson.
Nah, I'd take the shot on Christian Watson. He's got the draft capital. Trying for somebody to step up in this offense as the wide receiver one. Yeah, it's Watson for me, no question.
Adam had one more question for us, guys. Wanted to know, I'm looking for a backup for Justin Fields during weeks 14, 15, 16. He does have a
good idea.
Good idea. Yeah, that's a rough playoff schedule for Justin Fields. His options are Jimmy G, Danny Dimes, or Deshaun Watson. Who you guys picking up?
What does Deshaun Watson's playoff run look like that week? What's his matchups?
I'm not sure who the Browns are playing in the last 3 weeks.
14, 15, 16. He's got Cincinnati, Baltimore, New Orleans. That isn't the easiest.
I'm going
Watson. Still go Watson.
Yeah, the talent is just it's so much further ahead than the other two guys. I think if you're trying to play it safe, Jimmy G's the call, but you severely cap your upside. Deshaun Watson, you pay attention to what he does when he comes back. There might be some rust, but man, he's got a ceiling that not many players do.
I don't think there's going to be much rust. Go look at his game logs from 2020, 2019. This is a player who, ever since college, has just dominated, and he has been in the highest stakes situations multiple times. He's not the type of player that I think really is going to have a ton of fluctuation. He's just talented. So
we'll see.
Yeah, we will see.
We'll see. But I think I'm rolling with Watson, even if I am maybe a little bit less optimistic about there being that lack of rust. He's the best option out of these three for your fantasy teams. Guys, coming up, we are going to play one of our favorite games, Match Game, with all of you guys. And then we've got the Waiver Wire Simulator, a new segment we're going to be doing today. And then, Jay, I'm going to need you to sell me on some things a little bit later, but we'll get to that when it is time. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. Nope, that's not good enough, Jay. No. We're gonna tell you what you're gonna sell us, guys. You are listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Front Yard Fantasy, weekday mornings at 7 Eastern on Better Sports Network.
There was a tweet about the refs that had me kind of cracking up the other day because somebody was like, "We have the technology to track the ball down to a centimeter and figure out what speed these guys are running on the field." Yet somehow we still mark the ball by
That's my favorite.
A 60-year-old dude eyeballing it, and then we run over with literal chains and measure it. It's like, you think we can probably get that figured out.
The least precise way to measure something, and then immediately following that up with a super precise way of measuring something.
Yeah, it's like we have
like if you're a millimeter short of that chain that they bring out there, that they ran out it as best they could in a straight line. But if you first they just go here, and then they grab the chains and they run in the straightest line possible. But then if you are 1 millimeter short with that football, doesn't count. Sorry. Couldn't have been human error. You're just short.
That's exactly. And, they bring up the index card or whatever. Meanwhile, they have satellites in space tracking how fast Brandon Ayuk ran on an end around. But we can't,
and I can see that number live while he's doing it. Like I can see every player's speed on the screen live.
I love that. It's and not to mention that dude's trying to make the spot and the player always tosses the ball right into his face. Right? He's coming over to spot it, and it's every other time the player's just here you go. Here's another thing to juggle.
On call with Dr. Roto.
If the Giants don't win another game this year, A, I'll be shocked. But B, I'll still think that they're better than they were with Joe Judge. Much better. Because I think Brian Dable's got a lot out of this team already. And I'm seeing what this team could be. See, that's the problem with owners and general managers. I see Nathaniel Hackett and I see a guy who can't get it done. I see Matt Rule and see a guy who never should have been hired. Disaster right away. Sometimes a good coordinator in the NFL is better. I don't even say sometimes. Most of the time, a good coordinator in the NFL is better than a college coach because the NFL coordinators, they know the system. They've been there. They've played. They've been around it. For the life of me, I don't know why Eric Bieniemy hasn't gotten a job yet. Deuce Staley is going to get a job. Somebody's going to hire that dude. When you've been around the game, you understand it. These college guys come, they don't know it.
Join the show with one touch of a button. It's Sports Talk 3.0 on Better Sports Network.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. We are about to get into one of our favorite games, the match game, and our friend and FYF famer Maria is going to come on to run this game for us. For those of you that have not watched Match Game with us before, how this works is Maria has asked a question to members of the fantasy football community, people we know and love, maybe that we love. I guess I don't know who all of the people are, but people that we know. Our job is going to be to write down the answer that we think that person gave us. Maria, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Oh, of course. I'm so excited to be here. This is the At Home with Baker Mayfield edition for me.
We got Maria out of the classroom, back at home. Are you taking over those commercials now that Baker's not doing them anymore?
They haven't asked yet, but I would love to.
Are you taking over as a starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers as well?
Absolutely. That one they asked.
Right.
They didn't ask about the commercials yet.
They said out with Peach, in with Maria. We're going to get this going. Guys, before we get into that, though, I did see a question in here. Someone said, even though defense should be banned, which one should be a priority pickup? Titans, Broncos, Giants, or Cardinals? I've got the Colts defense at the moment. Jay, which of those defenses would you be prioritizing to pick up?
The first one that sticks out to me is the Broncos. I know they've been a mess, but their defense has not been. Really just depends on the matchup. I'm going to look right now and see. You have any of the matchups for this upcoming week for these guys?
The Broncos and Titans play each other this week. I know that. So those guys are facing each other. Who do the Giants have in week? Okay. It's Broncos?
Yeah, Broncos going against the Titans. Yes, it's you got Derrick Henry, but there's not much. Whether it's Malik Willis, whether it's Ryan Tannehill, you don't have to worry about that. That passing offense. Yeah, Broncos.
JL, are you agreeing here? Yeah, I think JL agrees. As well. It looks like he agrees. Joe, we cannot hear you currently. Given that Broncos take.
Whoops. I went Broncos. I said we had an earlier question that was similar.
We did, absolutely. Maria, you ready to get into this match game?
I'm so ready. I got some good questions for you guys.
Ooh, I'm excited. Let's do it.
All right, let's start with a question I asked to Eric Romoff.
Oh, in the chat right now, Fantasy Nav in the BSN chat.
Also on the Fantasy Football Game Show at 3 p.m. Eastern today on our YouTube channel.
There you go. Shout out, Eric.
All right, so I asked him the biggest bust of the 2022 season.
Ooh.
The biggest bust of the 2022 season is.
Oh, that is so tough. What is Eric going to say for the biggest bust of the 2022 season? Okay. I think I know exactly what Eric's going to say.
I like Joey's answer. He said Dolly Parton.
Racing.
Am I supposed to be writing this down?
Yes.
You didn't tell me that, and this is my first time. So,
well, Jay,
it's almost like you work.
Hey, did you watch the old school GSN match game?
Been a long time. I'm not that old.
What about the RuPaul's Drag Race version, the Snatch Game?
Come again?
Ooh.
They play the match game.
FYF Morning Show version.
I don't watch the FYF Morning Show.
There you go.
And Tommy said, "Be gentle on Jay. It is his first time." Okay, sorry, Jay. You know what? Tommy's right. We got to give you some graces here.
All right, I got mine.
You ready?
Let's do it.
All right, let's reveal your answers. JT, Elijah Moore, Kyle Pitts.
Ooh, Kyle Pitts is a good one.
Kyle Pitts is a good one.
All right, well, we have our first point on the board because Eric said,
Yay!
No!
Jonathan Taylor.
Ding, 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 ding.
That was the other option.
That
Nice
wasn't
pull,
option.
Jay.
All right, so that is 1 for John Luke,
That was the correct option.
0 for Jay, 0 for Simon.
I feel like this was rigged.
Tommy got that one right in the chat
Already?
as well, guessing
Yep.
Jonathan Taylor. Nice job. And Fantasy Dog with JT and Dustin also with JT. Tim
Yeah,
also
one for Tom.
guessed JT. So lots of people in the chat getting that one right.
Guesses.
Yeah, I guess
guesses.
that just means we're dumb because we did not get that one and everyone else did. Or maybe we just
My
need to
wife
spend
tells
some
me
more
every
time
day.
with Eric. Eric,
All right,
That is-
got
we gotta make
another one
that-
for you.
we got to make that lunch date happen because I didn't even know who you thought the biggest bust was.
That's
we need
true.
to hang out more.
All right, what's our next one?
One. I did ask someone in the fantasy community, but they shall remain anonymous for this one.
Anonymous.
And I was going to say anonymous. Now I'm just going to say New England.
New England. No, we're now on Minneapolis. That's our new thing.
So a word they would use to describe Roger Goodell.
And this is
Ooh.
remaining anonymous.
Yeah, like I know who the person is. They're a real person. I didn't make them up.
They just go to a different school in a city, city.
You
If you
You just don't know them. I have a relationship with them.
was it Roger Goodell?
Is this him answering?
Can you show the prompt one more time just so I get this wording down? Make
Yes.
sure I know it exactly.
A word I would use to describe Roger Goodell.
All right, I got mine.
So do I.
They're in the chat.
I've got mine as well.
I want to change my answer to Joey's. He said Dolly Parton again.
I want to. He said commissioner. Just very
Commissioner.
descriptive.
Very literal. All right, you ready?
Ready to reveal?
I'm ready.
Yep.
Go for it. Clown, douche,
Shield.
shield.
He's a shield for the owners. He
makes
shields the
sense.
owners from all of that. That's
Shield.
his primary job is to just be the shield for all of the owners. That's what he does. He's
The guy that
finding
gets
the villain.
poo-pooed on.
Exactly.
Simon just went with like terracotta.
Fantasy Dog was in the same reign as me. He went puppet. I think like that's a similar vein. Like he's a puppet of the owners. He's there to just take everything for the owners instead.
Yeah, I feel like puppet's a little more commonly used than shield. But
Yeah, I think you're right. So it sounds like what you're telling
All
me is
right.
that I'm wrong, Maria.
no, I liked it. I liked it. But this anonymous person said, boo.
Boo.
I almost
That's
wrote
a good
boo.
answer.
No, that was the first word that came to mind. Then I was like, no, go with something a little more descriptive.
That is a really good answer.
That is
That is a
beautiful.
very good answer.
I can't
That's a
believe no
good
one got
answer.
that one. I
Always
feel
go
like
with your
someone in the
first
chat-
instinct, Simon.
Man,
You
but
gotta follow
until
your
it-
heart. Rule number 5, Simon. Rule number 5 of the FYF chat. Follow your heart.
All right. So this next one, I asked Toronto Dave.
Toronto Dave.
Dave. Woo.
All right.
I'm gonna write down my
so
answer
it's a
before
good
you even
one. Here
show
we
us the
go.
question.
It's a little bit longer.
Poutine.
If the Bills win the Super Bowl, their fans won't just be breaking tables. They will be breaking blank.
Oh. Oh,
If
man.
the Bills win the Super Bowl, their fans won't just be breaking tables.
That's such a good
They
question.
will be breaking blank.
I think I got this one. Feeling pretty
I
good
have
about this
no
one.
idea.
Fantasy Dog, and you say Maria is cool. Just saying. We agree.
Oh.
We agree. Maria is pretty cool.
Too kind.
Jill, Fantasy Dog said Jay is cool, said Maria is cool. And then I guess we're just the scraps.
We are not cool. We knew that. All right, I
Joe.
got mine.
I see in the chat.
We reveal?
Yeah.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. Bones, hearts, heart.
Oh, Simon.
right, gentlemen. The answer.
Oh,
Yes, Dave. I
Ah.
knew it. We were on the same page, Dave. Me
I
and
also
you.
knew it, Dave.
Jail
you.
also knew it. Me, Jail, and Dave
Tommy
on the
also
same page.
knew it.
Tommy got that one right in the chat as well.
So we've got JL with 2 points, Simon with 1 point, and Jay, I'm sorry, 0 points.
Bonk.
It happens.
All right.
The
But
real
you
points are
have
the friends
5
we made
rounds.
along
You
the
have
way.
2 more.
It's true.
Okay. So this one is from our very own FYF member, Dolly Parton, Joey Wright.
Joey Wright.
I asked Joey a jersey I need to buy. A jersey I need to buy is.
Yeah.
Joey.
This
And
is
I figured this was appropriate. You all know Joey very well.
Joey's
What
been on the show.
jersey?
Joey is our co-host of our Sunday pre-gaming with FYF show. If you checked us out on Sunday from 11 to 1, he's on there with us, and he'll be joining us next week on this show.
Oh, there's 2 that I cannot decide.
I've got it. I got it.
Yeah.
Same.
We
It's
got
really
some
hard to
nice
write in
chat.
block letters. It takes me a long time.
I changed my answer, but
All right, I got mine.
Let's
Jay,
do
you
it.
got yours?
Yep, hold on. I'm trying to get the screenshot to make it bigger so it's actually readable. Hold on. Yep, let's go.
We got Damian Pierce. Damian Pierce.
I
Triple
swear to God, Joey, if you said Dolly Parton, I'm going to kill you. like I am going to drive to Orlando, go into your house, and beat you up if the answer to this is Dolly Parton. And you've just been dropping that clue to us in the chat over and over and over again. That I didn't even have that thought until that moment that he very well could have written Dolly Parton down.
I
Why
almost
isn't Dolly
went
about
Pat
Dolly Parton?
Fryermuth. I mean, why don't you talk about Dolly Parton? She's
an
a
absolute
gift to the
treasure.
world. Yeah.
Jay, you got it tight, huh?
Someone is on fire, but it's Tommy.
Tom
Brady.
But Joey added some specifics in there. A throwback creamsicle Bucks jersey.
Joey would order something that's creamsicle. I don't know
mean,
why.
he's not
but
wrong.
He would.
That is a fantastic jersey. So
The word
No Damian
creamsicle,
Pierce.
I had a weird Facebook interaction involving the word creamsicle that has ruined that word for me forever.
all right,
It was
let's
like,
move on. Let's move on.
Yo, or you could give me a second and realize that it's not as weird as it sounds. There was a random neighborhood dad that commented on one of my pictures and said, "It looks like you're inside of a creamsicle," with a winky face. And I deleted the photo and then deleted Facebook about 6 months after.
Because of that? Were they related?
It just left a bad taste in my mouth. Know what I mean? Like it was like, it's like, this is a weird, like, don't put winky faces. But I think something I've realized is the next generation above us doesn't understand the implications of a winky face. Like they just view it as like a wink, whenever really it's like,
want to have sex?
Want to have sex? Yeah, exactly. That's what it says. Like I've had multiple bosses send me winky faces and emails, and I'm like, I don't think that means what you think it means, friend.
you, buddy.
I thought for sure we had that one with Damian Pierce.
Me too. I had our truck and I changed it to Damian.
To be fair, I asked him that one a little while ago. Sometimes I ask a whole bunch of prompts and then I save them for different shows. So the answer could have changed.
And Tom
By the
Brady,
way, if you want to be included in match game or have us potentially use one of your prompts, hit up Maria, FYF Maria on Twitter. I think your DMs are open. Just hit her on the DMs.
Yeah. Send me a message saying that you want to answer a prompt and I'll send you a prompt back. All right.
Jail,
so,
for the first time ever on air, just told everyone watching to slide into his fiance's DMs.
I was
I don't
thinking
think
that,
that's
but
been
I
done
decided to not say anything.
Do it.
What's our
Just
next one,
me.
Maria?
It's me in there.
so this is the last one. All right. And I asked this one to your pal, Jim Coventry.
Hey, we love Jim.
We love Jim.
Jim.
I asked him a player that was free at the beginning of the season that is now going to be a league winner.
It's a good prompt.
Player that was free at the beginning of the season that is now going to be a league winner is...
This is a really good prompt.
This is a really good prompt. think I have an answer. I've got my answer.
Simon, you could tie it with a win right now.
I'm feeling good about it. I'm feeling pretty good. I feel like me and Jim, we're in sync. We are in sync right now.
Or
he shaved his mustache. I'm growing mine. It's like we're trading. Like I think I'm just like absorbing some of Jim's knowledge.
Are you wearing Jim's mustache?
Yes, he sent it to me in the mail.
No,
Jay, look at this. This is not even a quarter as glorious as anything like the worst mustache Jim has ever grown.
I wasn't going to call you out. But I think your mustache is fine, Simon.
Yeah, it's the best lopsided mustache I've ever grown.
I honestly, I don't know who to answer for this.
I got
mine. The debate I'm having is define free. Know what I mean? Like that's the debate I'm going back and forth between. Is define free. I'm sticking with it. You got yours, JL?
Yeah.
Jay, you got yours? You look like you got yours.
I do.
All right, hold on. I gotta write it down again. All right, I'm ready.
Damn
Ken
it,
Walker. Ken Walker, George Pickens.
I was going to do Ken Walker, but was he free? Like that was the debate I was having.
That's why I crossed it out because I was like, I don't know that he was, but I think, I mean, I did a waiver wire video on him on week 3, so I'm going to say, yeah, he was free. But we'll see what Jim thinks.
People were dropping him in the first couple weeks whenever he wasn't getting the work.
That was my first initial reaction as well.
My assistant got if you could hear that.
I just saw an answer come in from Fantasy Dog that I think is probably the right. I did not think of it. Fantasy Dog said Justin Fields, and I'm feeling pretty good about your answer, Fantasy Dog.
The chat is extremely smart.
They are.
Justin Fields, you dirty dog, getting that one right
done,
in the last
Fantasy
second.
Dog.
All right, so that means, John Luke, you're our match game winner.
Woo, let's go.
I mean,
wait, this isn't like golf where the lowest score wins? I thought that
no, unfortunately. Jay's me 11, depending on how you read that.
Depending on how
I
you
think
read
Fantasy Dog is the winner.
Yeah.
I think Fantasy Dog got 3 right.
Depending on what tally mark philosophy you subscribe to.
Yeah.
Shout out
well
Fantasy
done.
Dog.
Well done.
Nice job.
Maria, thank you so much for putting these together. I love playing this game.
Definitely.
And
of course.
thank you everyone who responded to those questions. It was fun getting you guys involved. Eric, Toronto, Dave, Joey, Jim, and the anonymous source of one of those questions. That was a lot of fun. A lot of fun getting to play with you guys. It's fun to get you guys involved. Maria.
Tommy said, anyone think JL got up early to look at Maria's notebook? I did get up early. I had to do the show.
Let him.
I was going to say, I don't think he got up early enough to do anything extra besides get ready for the show. So I don't think JL spared an extra 3 minutes to even go cheat.
No.
We are not morning people. Maria.
No, we are not.
Thank you so much for coming on and running this game for us today. I really appreciate it.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Maria.
Bye-bye.
Guys, coming up, we are going to talk through a waiver wire simulation, and then we're going to play a little bit of Sell Me This Pen, but it's not going to be a pen, Jay, so put your pen away. You're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Front Yard Fantasy, weekday mornings at 7 Eastern.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just banning the porn bots real quick.
Whenever the porn bots, I will say, dude, whenever the porn bots show up, it means we're doing something good. It means that we're showing up. So, they wouldn't find us if we weren't, if the live stream wasn't good. So, you know what? We welcome you here. Tinder-hot-.xyz-best adult dating site. One of our biggest fans.
I detach all of my self-worth to how many porn bots come into our show in the morning. If we don't get any porn bots, I go the rest of the day thinking what did I do wrong? Why didn't Tinder-xyz.com want to hang out with me this morning?
Yeah. People ask, how was the show? I'm like, not that good.
No porn bots.
Porn bots showed up.
Moose and Keith, weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern.
Because I never asked you this. When Noah was growing up, when did Noah first where you got a sense that this is what my son wanted to do?
I was really busy during his formative years. I didn't meet Noah until he was about 19.
Nice.
So,
your wife did a good job.
Yeah, you may want to talk to him. I would say about first season, he started showing a legitimate interest. He he started getting curious about how I prepared, what it required. And then I saw a little bit of a shift, 14, 15, where he was concentrating on the on-cameras, the interaction between play-by-play and analyst, and started probably taking mental notes at that point of the performance aspect of, okay, you do all this prep, but you got to go out and deliver it. So yeah, probably that 14, 15 range, I thought to myself, this could be something he really wants to do.
Better Sports Network is betting, fantasy, collectibles. It's sports talk done better.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. We are about to get into a new segment that we are calling the Waiver Wire Simulator. Jill, you want to explain to people how this is going to work?
Absolutely. The Waiver Wire Simulator, similar to, your average train simulators or airplane simulators. We're going to essentially simulate a waiver wire situation this week. So each of us has a budget that we are starting out with. Simon is $52, Jay $89, and I have $37 to give us a mix of different situations that you might be in here going into week 10 of the fantasy football season. Then we're going to go through a bunch of free agents, a bunch of common waiver wire players that you will most likely see this week. And we have submitted blind bids on each of these players, the three of us. And so we'll go through each player, see who won that player, update their budget, and talk through it. Pretty simple.
Let's do it. Let's do it. You guys ready?
Yep.
Before we do that, though, I saw Jolly Rancher in the chat saying, "Great game, Maria," with a winky face.
I was about to bring that up, too.
It was a great game, Maria.
If you got some waiver wire questions or just fantasy questions, throw them in the chat. We will get to them. We will answer them as we play. Scott Fish said, Gino is okay. I guess Fields is possible. Several QBs would fit. Simon, you want to run this?
Oh, sorry. I thought you were running through this. We can go ahead and go through this game. The first player that we are talking about, or I guess I should name our budgets first. We're trying to simulate an actual waiver wire experience. We're not going to have all the same budgets at this point in the season. So I am sitting here with $52 left. I've spent up a little bit, maybe grab some players. Jay, you've been real conservative with your fab up to this point. You've got $89 left of your fab budget. And JL, you must have spent big early. You must have went in on one of these guys. Maybe you grabbed Kenneth Walker off the waiver wire.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
You've got $37 left only. You only have $37 left. The first player that is up for, or that we were bidding on to add to our teams, to add to our roster, was Deion Jackson. Deion Jackson. JL, we're going to reveal your bid first since you have the lowest fab. You put in a $2 bid for Mr. Deion Jackson. Only $2 for Deion. Jay, you put in $6 for Deion Jackson. And I put in $4, which means you are going to get Deion Jackson with these bids. Now, Jay, what gave you the confidence to put in $6 of your remaining budget for a backup running back?
So I think JT could potentially be shut down with what we're seeing out of the Colts. It's obvious. I mean, they hired Jeff Saturday to be their head coach, who had a losing record as a high school head coach. They're looking for that high pick, and I was not in on Deion Jackson this week because of Ellinger starting. I would not be surprised to see either Matt Ryan or Nick Foles make starts. You're looking at a guy who's potentially set up to get a solid amount of volume, and he put up that massive game when Matt Ryan was under center because of the check down passes. And I didn't like him because of Ellinger wasn't going to do that. He's the type of guy, he's got a little, he can move a little bit, so he's going to run the ball. Matt Ryan has never been able to run the ball, and he's 75 years old. He definitely can't run the ball now. So I think he is going to get some check down passes and really have some solid RB2 value.
Jay, what about you? Are you agreeing?
Yeah, I'm a little less optimistic, which is why I bid less here. Deion Jackson, he's not in the best situation. He's not in the best situation going forward, and he really hasn't impressed me so far. So there's a couple other guys on this list who I'd rather have, a couple other running backs who are a little more enticing to me. I'm not going to bid a ton.
Yeah, I'm with you, JL. With the limited fab that I've got left, I wasn't trying to bid a ton on a guy who I think is the backup rest of the season. But Jay, with the fab you've got left, I do not mind you throwing a little bit extra down for Deion Jackson, but that's going to bring your budget down to $83, Jalen. I still sitting there with everything we've got left. Terrace Marshall, wide receiver of the Carolina Panthers, who has been turning it on recently, was the next player up. I put in a bid of $1 to acquire Terrace Marshall off the waiver wire. JL, you put in $0, and Jay, you also put in $1. So Jay and I tied here on our bids for Terrace Marshall. JL, what do we do?
We'll go with a waiver priority tiebreaker here, and I will give it first to Simon, since Jay already signed Terrace Marshall. I'm sorry, Deion Jackson. So Simon, you win this bid, $1.
$1. And I was not expecting to add Terrace Marshall with that $1 bid, but I do think he's worth adding right now. He should be rostered. So that's the kind of bid I would throw in on the waiver wire this week. Like, he's not someone that's a priority acquisition for your team, but he's getting targets. He's looked decent. This Panthers offense has looked better since Matt Rule has left, and Terrace Marshall seems to be a part of it, even though I thought he was done at the beginning of the season this early in his career. I'll add him for $1.
Yeah, I bid $0 here, but for a bye week type fill-in, I'd be interested to throw Terrace Marshall into my lineup. So I think there's a difference here. If you need somebody to fill in, I might be throwing a little bit more money on here. Since we don't have that context here for my team and my budget's limited, I didn't want to throw in a bid on Terrace Marshall because I don't feel like he's likely going to be a long-term producer of fantasy points this season. I think this Atlanta team is going to struggle more. But he's talented. He's got Atlanta this week, which is very positive. I think AJ Terrell is out. They're letting up the 31st most points to the fantasy wide receiver. And then he's got Baltimore next, which may be a little deceptive, not the easiest matchup, but yeah, $0 bid for me.
$0 bid. But that's going to add Terrace Marshall to my team. Welcome to the squad, Terrace Marshall.
Squad. You got $52 now.
I know, $1 down. The next player is Rachaad White. Rachaad White, running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, been getting some hype, so he might still be sitting out there on your waiver wire. Backup for Leonard Fournette, rookie running back on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. JL, you put in a $4 bid to acquire Rachaad White onto your fantasy team. Jay, a $0 bid, even with all of the fab that he has, didn't put anything down on him. And I put in $7 on Rachaad White. $7. And again, this is one where I did not think I was going to win with $7. I thought Jay, with the big budget that he had and a running back with the kind of upside that Rachaad White has, would maybe get a bigger bid from you. But you're not buying into Rachaad White rest of the season, Jay?
No, I like Rachaad White. I don't want to spend that type of budget on a guy who doesn't necessarily have that clear path yet. You know, I would be fine picking him up with a $0 bid if I could stash him at the end of my bench, but I do think he's going to get more work, but Lenny's still the guy there. So I'd rather save my money for somebody who is guaranteed touches right now.
That makes sense. I guess my thought process here on a bid that high was there aren't many running backs available on the waiver wire that have the kind of upside that he has, right? Like, this is more of a stash and see if his role develops, because we have seen flashes from him. Or I also think he's a high value backup whenever it comes to if there's an injury, right? Like, we don't predict injuries, but you look at these situations and see which backup would step into probably a full-time role if the starter went down. And I think Rachaad White has that possibility, and there's potential for standalone value, even if that doesn't happen. I'm perfectly fine, especially in a position as scarce as the running back, for a guy with this kind of value to throw a bid of $7 down. JL, do you think this was an overpay?
I don't know there's an overpay. I think that it's right around the range that I'd be willing to spend. 5% was kind of like the max I was thinking for Rachaad White here. Now I'm working from a limited budget, so my strategy is a little different than these guys. I don't want to overpay unless the player I'm bidding on I'm really sure about. And Rachaad White doesn't have that certainty. And so I went $4 here. Simon went $7, which I think is a reasonable increase up. But I'm playing a little conservative here.
I think I'm about to get 3 in a row with this next player that we're about to talk about, unless one of you guys is just really in love with him. I think I put down a decent bid. The next player we're talking about is Wan'Dale Robinson, wide receiver for the New York Giants. And Jay made a face like maybe with his big old budget, he's going to swoop in and steal him from me.
Big old budget.
So we'll see. Wan'Dale Robinson stepping into that wide receiver 1 role. Jay tricked me with his face, put in a $0 bid. JL put in a $6 bid, and I put in an $11 bid on Wan'Dale Robinson. Put $11 down on him. And the reason I put $11 down is I'm looking at players that could potentially be league winners, right? Wan'Dale Robinson stepping into that wide receiver 1 role on a much improved New York Giants offense. Daniel Jones looking much better. If Wan'Dale Robinson's on the waiver wire and he's the top target for Daniel Jones in this offense as he develops as a rookie over the back half of the season, dude could have top 12 upside.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I like him. It's just that this Giants offense long-term scares me. I really feel like they're going to come back down to earth a little bit. And the only guy I trust on this offense is Saquon Barkley. I'm with you. I love Wan'Dale Robinson. If he's out there, pick him up 100%. He's definitely worth the bench stash, but I wanted to spend my money elsewhere, and you'll see.
I guess we will see. Jay. JL, you threw $6 down of your limited budget. So that's actually a pretty high bid for you, considering you only have $37 total. Is it similar to what I said? Is that what's giving you the confidence to throw that much down?
Yeah, for sure. I am very excited for Wan'Dale Robinson this year. The reason I wouldn't go as high as 11 is simply positional scarcity. Wan'Dale Robinson, I don't see as – I see him as being semi-replaceable as a wide receiver, 3 or 4, someone that you might be able to flex in rest of the season, and a solid talent with major upside. I don't see them as being a sure thing rest of the season. And I think wide receivers, especially when you get lower down, become a little bit more replaceable. So I think I went $6, which is about half a year's.
Yeah, but your budget is also a little bit more than half of mine. So it's a pretty sizable chunk of your remaining fab that you threw down on him.
And now I think you have less budget left than I do, Simon.
Yes, I do. I'm
$33
thinking
now.
I'm not very good at this game. I'm going to have to drop a lot of players to add all of these guys. I think maybe I got a little excited. This is like whenever I go on Amazon at 2 a.m. and they're like, oh yeah, let me add that, and let me add that, and let me add that, and let me add that. And then the next day, like it all shows up and I'm like, what the hell? Like
I like all these things.
What is this? The next player is Odell Beckham Jr., who we have seen rumors about recently. Rumors swirling. He could be activated as early as this week. And we've seen multiple teams connected to him. The Bills, the Packers, the Cowboys. We'll see what we put down on him. Jay, staying consistent. There's a reason why you've got so much fab left, and it's all these bids. $0 for Odell Beckham Jr. from Jay. JL put $3 in for Odell Beckham Jr. And I put $1 down to pick up Odell Beckham Jr. JL, first player you've added so far today, $3 for Odell Beckham Jr., a player that isn't even on a team yet. What gives you the confidence to add him to your roster? Or is it an upside play?
Both. Yeah. I mean, OBJ is talented. We've seen him be talented. We've seen him be a fantasy relevant piece here. He signs with a good team, playoff team. It's going to be interesting. So I'm willing to throw down a small bet on OBJ and hope that he turns into something the next couple of weeks here. He is now, I think, available to sign to a team.
I don't mind the pickup. I guess with that much uncertainty, I wasn't going to drop a lot. I was fine. Like if he gets added to my team, I'm happy about it, but I'm not sad missing out on him. But we saw it last year, him going to a new team and then having fantasy production late in the season, right? Like he was a relevant part of the end of last season getting added to that Rams team. So I don't mind the pickup, JL. I like it.
Thanks.
Odell Beckham Jr. So far, JL,
what the heck are you saving your money for, Jay? You got the most of it out of all of us.
You will see. There is thought process behind it, and you'll see, and I'll explain when.
Justin Fields, isn't it?
Oh, I'm going to be mad. Is this a 1 quarterback league or is this a 2 quarterback league?
1 QB.
1 QB. Okay, this is a 1 quarterback league. Jay's face just went, oh, shoot.
No.
As the next player that we have on this list is running back for the Baltimore Ravens, Gus Edwards, the Gus Bus. He's been out injured. Kenyan Drake has been filling in for him. Looks like Kenyan Drake will fill in again next week, but whenever Gus comes back, he's the presumed starter. JL, you put down a $0 bid on Gus Edwards. Nothing. Jay, you put down a $7 bid on Gus Edwards. And I put down a $13 bid on Gus Edwards.
13. Big
13.
Boy.
While I do like what I've seen from Kenyan Drake, and I think he's got an established role in this offense, it's not often that you can find a starting running back on the waiver wire. And Gus Edwards, I think, is just that, a starting running back for the Baltimore Ravens whenever he gets back and he's healthy. So I'm willing to drop a little bit more of my fab to pick up a guy that has a starting job.
That's fair.
Rare. I also think
if he has a starting job, that makes sense.
I also think as someone who enjoys playing zero RB or hero RB, I am more attuned to spending up for running backs on the waiver wire, even with potential, right? Like my teams are often strong at wide receiver and then looking for that second back, like trying to find it throughout the season. And so whenever there's opportunities like this on the waiver wire for JL, I guess to your point, the potential starting back for a very good offense, I'll spend up a little bit, throw that on my bench, see what we got.
That's fair. That brings you to $20 left.
I hope I did my math right.
That's what I was doing as we started this segment. I'm like, okay, let me pull out my calculator, make sure I didn't, spend $100.
We might have a party foul here.
Yeah, I mean, Simon's definitely so Simon, you believe this is a pretty big waiver week, right? Like if you're using more than half of your budget this week.
Here's what I think. I think in most leagues, you're not going to see all of these players on the waiver wire together. Know what I mean? Like I think in your league,
and
you may
dropping
see
players.
Exactly. You may see Gus Edwards on the waiver wire, but maybe Rashad White and Deion Jackson are already rostered in your league, right? Maybe Deion Jackson's out there, but Terrace Marshall, Wan'Dale Robinson, and Odell Beckham are already rostered. It's like, yes, if all these players are on the waiver wire, there's quite a few that I want to pick up. But if they're not, then these bids are probably what I would put in with them in a vacuum.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
If that makes sense. Our next player up is Mecole Hardman, wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs. Had himself a decent game this past week. I put in a $0 bid. JL also put in a $0 bid. And Jay put in a $10 bid on Mecole Hardman. JL and I both went zero. Jay, $10 on Mecole Hardman. Was it this week that gave you that confidence?
No, it's the opposite. He's had big weeks before, and traditionally I've not been a Mecole Hardman guy. And full disclosure, starting Mecole Hardman, you have to be willing to accept a goose egg. But unlike his previous seasons, he's been pretty consistent here recently. He's scored over 10 points in 4 straight games, averaged 18.3 points per game over that period, and he scored a touchdown in 3 straight. I definitely think this is a wide receiver by committee team. Obviously, Travis Kelce's the number one option, but they've really been putting him in a position to contribute to this team. And I think that he's a solid flex play, a solid wide receiver 3 with some upside.
Man, I just don't think with all of the receiving options there that you're going to get any level of consistency. I know he's had a touchdown in the last 3 weeks, but that means I plug him in next week and dude has 1 catch for 12 yards and I get nothing else out of Mecole Hardman. That's why I didn't put it in. Like
I completely agree with you there. I'm good.
I think the upside is a boom bust player, and that's not what I'm trying to add right now, right? Like that's not what I'm looking for is that boom bust player off the waiver wire. So that's why I didn't put a bid in. But I get what you're saying, Jay. He's got that boom potential, and if you need that in your lineup, he's worth the ad. Right. Jay, do you think Jay overpaid a little bit here?
No, I don't think he overpaid. I think that's a reasonable amount to pay if you believe in Mecole Hardman. I'm with you, Simon. I think the risk is a little too high, so I'm not willing to spend a bunch for another wide receiver with that much risk, but totally understand that if you're bought into Hardman.
Absolutely. So, Jay, you added Mecole Hardman to your team. What does that bring in your budget down to? $73 left for Jay. I have $20 left after this week. In JL, you currently have $34 left. You've got $34 left. Also, Scott Fish coming in here supporting you, Jay, saying Hardman's last 4 weeks, 11.5, 12.7, 26.5, and 17.9.
He's looked good. He's looked good.
And Fantasy Doc saying Hardman has 2 good games in a row, 4 TDs, 2 games.
And the schedule coming up is not terrible. It's got Jacksonville, the Chargers, and then the Rams.
And those games were against Las Vegas, Buffalo, San Francisco, and then Tennessee. So it wasn't just easy matchups that Mecole Hardman did it against. 50-50 for good, bad matchups right there.
Good bad matchups.
Maybe you're opening my eyes a little bit. Maybe I got some of that inconsistent stank, and he's been being a little bit more consistent over the last 4 weeks.
I was very surprised when I looked, and even before the past 4 weeks, I think he's only had. I was looking earlier. I did a waiver show last night. He's only had 3 games this season under 10 points. So he's been more consistent than he has been in the past.
Man, Mecole Hardman sneakily being relatively consistent this year, because I feel like he still has that narrative that he's purely a boom bust player, but 10 PPR points, you're happy with that any given week. Next player up is tight end Greg Dulcich, rookie tight end on the Denver Broncos. Since coming back from injury, he has been pretty involved in this offense and a very startable tight end. The tight end position can be tough to fill. I'm curious what the bids are here. Jay, $0 on Mr. Greg Dulcich. JL, 14 you stinking dollars on Mr. Greg Dulcich. And I put in 6, thinking because of the tight end position, I'd be able to sneak him onto my lineup with 6. But JL, I think this is your highest bid yet on Greg Dulcich. Is it because of the positional scarcity and this guy could just be an every week start?
Absolutely. It has to do with positional scarcity. It has to do with his consistency. He's been very consistent at the tight end position, which is historically not consistent. And so I find that highly valuable. He's also got a really decent schedule coming up. So if you need to stream a tight end during these buys, he's a fantastic option. He's got Tennessee, Las Vegas, and then Carolina Panthers. Fantastic string of games here for him, matchups.
Absolutely. I wanted Greg Dulcich added to my team. I've added him in a bunch of leagues. I did not think you would be bidding that high on him, Jail. I tried to play the game a little bit.
And I tried to play the game because I thought Simon's in this league. I'm going to need to spend up for Dulcich.
That's the fun of playing with people that you know well, right? Like if you know people well, then you start playing that mental game whenever you go to put the bids in. Like I was like, okay, but like I feel like JL maybe isn't as hyped. Maybe hasn't removed him from the glob yet, so I don't have to spend as much as I think I would normally spend.
And then you end up putting like a $20 bid down and nobody else
That's
bids.
the worst feeling, putting a huge bid and then the next one's like $2. And that's why I didn't bid on him, because I like Dulcich, but I wasn't willing to spend up, and I knew in order to beat Simon, I would have to spend up, so I wasn't willing to go there.
Joe, you added him to your team, and I think it's a great pickup. I think Greg Dulcich is just set it and forget it kind of tight end. You can plug him in your lineup rest of the season, unless you've got a Kelsey Andrews kind of player ahead of him. But he's a dude you can just plug in and play. We had a question come in here before we hit our next waiver wire player. Tom wanted to know Kenyan Drake or Gus Edwards going forward. And I'm sorry, his name's not Tom. His name is Tony. Tony wanted to know Kenyan Drake or Gus Edwards going forward. He said Kenyan was running so well last night.
Looked good, right?
He did look good. I said it already. I'm going to say what I think. I think we're going to see a split. I think Gus Edwards is still going to be the starter, but we're going to see Kenyan Drake pretty involved in this offense. It's not just going to be a backup scenario. They're going to have both these backs running probably relatively equal shares, close to a 50-50 split, but with Gus Edwards as the lead back. I'll roll with Edwards ever so slightly, but I think Drake, both of these guys probably are startable.
Yeah. I would go Kenyan Drake here. I understand the excitement for Gus Edwards, but Kenyan Drake has looked very good. He's looked good in this offense. So he's the one who I would rather have between him versus Gus Edwards coming off that injury.
What about you, Jay?
Yeah, I think I'm going to lean, believe it or not, the Kenyan Drake side. I think, Simon, I think what you said is 100% true. I think it's going to be a close split, but I just really like the way that Kenyan Drake has looked in this system. And Gus Edwards, I feel like he's like, we talk about every year, Gus Edwards, Gus bust this, Gus bust that, and he's never able to stay healthy. So I'm going to lean on the Kenyan Drake side.
Fantasy Dog leaning Drake as well. Looks like he's leaning on the Kenyan Drake side.
It's worth noting, and Fantasy Dog came in here and said Dobbins, and Dobbins will be back. I don't remember what week I have to look it up, but he is on IR he was on IR for 4 weeks, and now he's missed, I believe, 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken.
So someone's probably going to be the odd man out, and it's probably not going to be J.K. Dobbins. Like
probably
one of these,
not going to be J.K.
it's
Dobbins.
not going to be J.K. Dobbins, but one of these other backs will probably see continued work whenever J.K. Dobbins is in, and one of them is probably going to be the odd man out. That is a tricky situation to try to navigate.
So on
I saw that
2 days ago, John Harbaugh said 3 to 4 weeks.
From 2 days ago?
Yes.
Because he just had surgery. So I was looking at a latest report here too. Yeah. So he just coming out of surgery. Yeah, he said it was a smashing success.
I hope so.
Take
that's
that for what it's
worth. That's
worth.
the only result I want from a surgery. Anything less than a smashing success doesn't sound like a very successful surgery, right?
Yeah.
We were
like
mostly successful.
As successful. Yeah.
I think the doctor come out and say it was all right. I'm like, it was fine.
Guys, let's move on to our next player. We've got Jeff Wilson, newly acquired running back for the Miami Dolphins. I put in a bid of $4. JL, bid of $10, a decent chunk of your change left. And Jay,
half of my remaining budget.
$3 on Mr. Jeff Wilson. And Jay, I noticed you made sure you were going to get Jeff Wilson because the highest fab anybody else had even to start this was 52 from me. So that $53 bid seems very intentional to ensure he was added to your team.
Yep, you are 100% correct. I believe in Jeff Wilson. I think he's a potential league winner. I'm not, I'm the type, I'm very aggressive. It was funny for me to have the most budget because that's exactly the opposite how I play. I like to take my shots. The one thing that I've learned over the years from Jeff Ratcliffe that really makes a lot of sense, every week, your fab loses value because when you pick up a guy, there's only so many weeks left in the year. So I like to go early and often. I'm not afraid to, ensure I get a guy. I'm not afraid to overpay. And I believe in Jeff Wilson. I think if you like somebody, if you really believe in the talent, the situation, spend up and make sure you get them.
Yeah, and you said earlier that you think Jeff Wilson's a potential league winner. Like, do you think he could win leagues? And is that in case of a Mostert injury or just he could take over this backfield without a Mostert injury happening?
I think he can take over without, and part of the reason why I'm not afraid to spend up for him is I think even if it is a split, he's still going to have value. We saw that this week. So he's still a usable starter in your fantasy team, in your fantasy leagues, even if it is a 50-50 split. But I think he's going to take over this backfield, whether it's by injury. I'm not wishing injury on Raheem Mostert by any means, but he's not been able to stay on the field.
And Ernie coming in here saying inflation impacting fab also. Yeah,
that's very true.
That is
been brutal
point.
This year.
Yeah.
Just brutal.
Yeah. That's why the Fed is raising the rate.
Exactly. It's because of Jeff Wilson explicitly. Jeff Wilson is the reason.
Players.
Yeah. Jeff Wilson's the reason that mortgage rates are so high right now.
Yeah. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks a lot, Jeff Wilson.
Jeff Bezos.
Jr. and Bezos. Maybe Jeff should just create a collection of Jeffs to own the team, and then they can just say Jeff owns the Commanders.
This is like we are all Jeff.
Just get a bunch of Jeffs, and Jeff owns the Commanders. Never say a last name.
All talking unison.
Jeff.
Do you think Jay-Z would change his name to Jeff Z?
No. I think he would. Jeff Z is pretty good.
Jeff Z.
Jeff
It's the next stage in his career is the Jeff Z stage. Well, Jay, you added Jeff Wilson to your roster and brought you down to $20, which I think,
20.
Funnily enough, has us all at exactly $20 after that round. That is completely unplanned. We all put in our bids blind here, and we all ended up with $20 left with only 2 players left on the list. The next player up is Joshua Palmer, wide receiver for the Los Angeles Chargers, who has been showing up in the absence of any combination of Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, or the two of them. I put in a bid for $0 on Joshua Palmer. JL put in a bid of $7, and Jay put in a bid of $12, meaning Jay, you are going to add Joshua Palmer to your team.
I'm very excited.
Was that a Borat impression?
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't tell.
Pulling out Borat at 9:30 a.m. He's like, that's what Jay was doing before he got on the show, is he was watching Borat. He wakes up. His alarm clock is the Borat movie in full. And he just lets it play in its entirety. Starts at the beginning.
It's like 4 a.m.
It's my son's favorite movie.
You say that, but like I went to go see Bruno in theaters with my parents way too young. We did not know what to expect. I was like 11 years old sitting in between my parents whenever the talking penis came on the screen. And I was like, this is going to be a long hour and a half, isn't it?
I watched 40-Year-Old Virgin with my parents, and I was in college at the time, and that was still extremely awkward.
Man, nothing beats my Bruno story. We were staying at my dad's bay house. It was me, my friend Richard, and both of our dads. And we played Bruno because we thought it was going to be like Borat. And Simon, we got to the exact part you're talking about, which is like 40 seconds in, where there's this dancing penis talking in the movie. And we were like, my dad was like, nope. Walked over, turned it off.
I've
Boys Night.
I do have a pretty good Borat story. I don't know if I've ever told you guys this. My buddy Steve, who came to the Fantasy Football Expo with me. Yeah. So we were in high school when Borat came out, and we watched it over and over again. Like, that was absolutely hilarious. So me, him, and another buddy of ours, Jordan, we were at Steve's house watching the movie. And the part where, if you haven't seen the movie, Borat wrestles, I can't remember the guy's name, but the big fat dude, they're fighting butt naked, and they're just, going over each other. You see the big black box, and we are dying laughing, can't breathe. His mom opens the door, looks at us, looks at the screen, doesn't say a word, and closes the door. And then later that night, Steve called me and said his mom called him into her room, sat him down and said, "Steven, were you guys watching pornography together?" Thinking that that's what it was. And he said, died.
Yes.
Yes, we were.
Mom, we were. And then we watched Borat, and that's when you walked in.
Yeah, exactly.
We had already finished the previous task. Jay, you're going to add Joshua Palmer to your team, bringing you down to $8 left. And we've got one more player, and that is quarterback Justin Fields of the Chicago Bears. Be honest, guys, I did not budget well, and I was running low at this point, and I was like, I wish I had more left for Justin Fields. But this is a one quarterback league, so I put in a bid of $6. Jay, you put in a bid of $0, and JL, with $8, you are going to add Justin Fields to your squad. Congratulations.
Thank you. I really thought you guys would outbid me for that. Pretty happy with that, honestly.
I wanted to add Justin Fields. Justin Fields, like our friend Jim Coventry said, could be a league-winning type of player over the back half of the season. If people dropped him over the first 4 weeks, he's been a top 12 or a top 13 quarterback each of the last 5 weeks. Top 5, 3 of the last 4, and number 1 this past week. Like, Justin Fields has been absolutely killing it. Now, don't expect him to break the single game regular season rushing yards record every single week. That's not going to happen, but he can get you 60 yards on the ground, which is a touchdown.
Can't say it won't happen.
You're right. You're right. It is one of the possibilities in the infinite universes that exist. There is one of them where for every game the rest of the season, Justin Fields continues to break his own record week by week.
That'd be a fun universe to live in.
Wouldn't
That
it?
would be.
Let's go to that multiverse.
It would kind of get boring though. Like if it was every week,
just keeps upping it. 1,000-yard game.
Right.
See, I don't think it would get boring because it's finite. There is an end. We're in week 9. Week 18 is going to be the end of the season. Like, it would be exciting to watch it happen each and every week going through. But JL, you had Justin Fields, which means you end with $12 left in your budget. Jay, you end with $8 left, and I end with $20 left in my budget. So now, even though I started with the middleist money, I leave with the most going into next week. The middleist. Guys, coming up, we are going to have a new segment we're calling Sell Me This Pen. You're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Better Sports Live with Rick Kamla. That's 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific on Better Sports Network.
Andy Reid is the best current coach in the NFL. He's better than Belichick. Belichick has lost his way. He's better than Tomlin. He's better than Harbaugh. He's better than Shanahan. He's better than McCarthy down in Dallas. He's better than all of the gangster NFL coaches right now. Sean McDermott up in Buffalo, he's better than all these guys. Andy Reid is the greatest gangster that we have at head coach in the NFL right now. And I understand that you're saying, well, Belichick is the GOAT, Cam. How can that be true? Now you're bringing up old stuff. Bill Belichick can't draft anymore, okay? Talk to me. Nick Chubb, Sony Michel. Talk to me. DK Metcalf, Debo Samuel versus N'Keal Harry. Okay, talk to me. This dude has lost his way. Remember the year when he should have bottomed out and just tanked, but he couldn't, and he went and got Cam Newton, and they were a mediocre team, right? He's lost his way. And not that he can't coach up a good defense and that kind of thing, but overall, he's lost his way. Andy Reid's an absolute badass. They draft great. He's a great coach, makes the right decisions, when to go for it, when to kick, when to punt. The guy's the man.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
I hate the stupid unsportsmanlike conduct. As long as you're not disrespectful to the opponent, you should be allowed to celebrate.
How I used to say it, and to bring up, because now basketball's starting to bring up.
Oh, dude, it's even worse than basketball, isn't it?
So Dikembe Mutombo, who used to get teed up in the 2000s, in the 90s, they didn't give a crap. 2000s, though, when they tightened up the rules, they used to tee him up more when he did the Dikembe finger wag. But they wouldn't tee him up if he did it to the crowd instead of looking at like Eton Thomas. Like one time I remember, and doing it right to him, or when his back was turned, doing it right to him. If he did it to the crowd, they would never call it. And so that makes me wonder if these players, while, yeah, they want to talk a little smack, maybe they should flex towards the crowd than at the player who they're standing over.
I guess.
I know
again,
it's soft, man.
It is soft.
Because you know what?
Like we're gonna give 15 yards for that,
bro. They think that you want to know why they're paranoid. They think that's gonna turn into a fight.
See, I disagree with that. That's not gonna start a fight.
I agree with you. They don't agree with
It's
us.
one thing. Okay, if you spit in someone's face or say something derogatory, like about their family or something,
right?
Yeah, that can incite it. But if you're just like, yeah, I made that play. What? You know what I mean? Like, again, they know the rules. You got to know you're going to get flagged. You have to have discipline. But, like, I don't know. I have no problem with celebration as long as it's not disrespectful.
What's disrespectful? You know,
it's interpretation, and that's my problem. Watch, it's going to cost someone in a big playoff game, and that's when people are going to go crazy. There'll be a third down play. Someone makes a pass breakup, and they're in someone's face. They're going to throw a flag. It'll extend the drive. That team scores, wins the playoff game because of it. You need something drastic for it to really leave an imprint, and I hope that doesn't happen to mine.
Better Sports Network is betting, fantasy, collectibles. It's sports talk done better.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. We just ran through our waiver wire simulator. That was pretty fun, JL. Good idea.
I like that a lot.
Good idea. I liked it. Guys, and we had some comments come in the chat. Scott Fish in here saying Maria did DM him way back on September 4th and he missed it. He says he feels like such an ass, similar to how someone who DMs a guy he'll text him on October 23rd and then never does probably feels. You're right. I do feel like an ass. I've dug this hole. I've dug this asshole very deeply now.
Damn it.
And I'm stuck in it. I'm stuck in this hole of being an ass, Scott. So that's where we are. I'm going to dig out, though. I'm going to find my way out of this hole of being an ass. I'm now going to refer to a hole of being an ass instead of asshole. Guys, we had a question in here from Adam. Adam wanted to know, do you think Marvin Jones could be a boom player this week? So wide receiver Marvin Jones, JL, do you think he could be a boom player this week?
Marvin Jones, who are they playing?
They're playing the Chiefs.
I thought they were on bye. Am I wrong?
No, they're not on bye. They are playing
week 11 they're on bye.
Why can't I read this?
The Chiefs. It's the Chiefs.
Yeah, the Chiefs.
You were right from the start. And the question is, could he be a boom player?
Yeah.
It's going to be tough for Marvin Jones to be a boom player. There's still Christian Kirk, there's Travis Etienne, there's Zay Jones. Could he be a boom player? Absolutely. Is that his most likely outcome this weekend? Probably not.
No, he's been a wide receiver 2 just one time this season in week 5. And JL, I believe it was the week that you called for him to be, what was the word? Serendipitous. You said that Zay Jones and Marvin Jones described starting both in your lineup, and you said serendipity. I think that was the one week where he was wide receiver 14, and Zay Jones also killed it as well. But you're not calling for serendipity for Marvin Jones this weekend?
I am not.
Jay, what about you?
I think.
You calling for some serendipity?
No serendipity.
In his last game, just looking at his target totals, it is kind of surprising how involved he has been in this offense. From week 5, he had 11 targets in week 5. He did not play in week 6. Then week 7, 8 targets, 3 in week 8, but then 6 again last week in week 9. You know what? I don't mind it, Adam, as a plug-and-play player. If you got a bye-week problem, Marvin Jones is getting enough targets. If he breaks one off for a touchdown, you're pretty happy. And this Jags team is probably going to be playing from behind against the Chiefs, if I had to guess.
I definitely think if you have to dig deep for a bye-week replacement or a flex play, you could do a lot worse than Marvin Jones.
Absolutely. Full agree with you there on that one, Jay. JL, you want to get into some of this this next segment? And guys, if you have questions for us, throw them in the chat. We're going to be happy to answer any questions you have for us leading up to the end of this show.
Yeah. So for Sell Me This Pen, this game is going to work where we're going to take turns, and each host here is going to have to improv sales pitch some item. It can be a player, can be anything really, but you're going to have to sell the rest of us here on that.
It could even be a boat.
Could even be a boat. You guys
in
ready?
A balloon. It could be a boat in a balloon, making the balloon heavy yet still floating.
A boat loon?
A boat loon.
A boat loon.
I like beloat better.
Yeah, definitely bloat. Definitely bloat.
You're bloat.
I'm a little bloated myself. But
JL, who's going first today?
All right, Jay, you were going to go first on this
All right.
one. Sell me on Kadarius Toney being a wide receiver 2 rest of season.
Well, I mean, the first thing you have to look at is the offense that he's on. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs are throwing the ball an absolute ton. Believe it was over 60 times this past week. They can't run the ball. Andy Reid is one of the best offensive minds in the entire NFL. They traded for him. They're not trading for him to not use him. They must have felt like they were missing something in this offense, and we've seen he can do it all. He was a converted quarterback, so I would not be surprised to see Andy Reid drop some plays where he's going to throw the ball. He can run the ball. He's absolutely electric on the field. This is the offense that you want him in. This is the head coach you want. He's play calling that you want him to be a part of, and he's got a chip on his shoulder. He was not happy with the way he was treated in New York, and he wants to prove that he is worthy of that first-round pick that most people said he's not.
Pretty fair. It's pretty good.
Pretty convincing argument on the spot, Jay. I'm impressed. You got me buying in a little bit. I was probably the biggest Kadarius Toney doubter with this trade.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Pretty
Thank you very much.
good.
Very nice.
I was going to throw
Great
a poll
success.
here in the chat of where will Kadarius Toney finish rest of season. So answer that in the chat. Let us know what you think. Well done, Jay. Good job. We got a question here in the chat. We're going to be answering questions throughout these. Fantasy Dog asks, which running back should I drop to pick up New York Jets defense? Full PPR, Jackson, Madison, Carter, J-Rob, or Drake? Jackson. Why am I
was about to say, I'm blanking on Jackson as well.
I'm Deion Jackson, running back in the Indianapolis Colts.
Yep.
Is probably who he's talking about here. I am a little bit confused by this question because the New York Jets are on bye this week going into week 10. And unless there is a they asked which running back do I drop. I'm not one to stash a defense through the bye week unless we're looking at like a year where the New England Patriots are literally like a top 50 fantasy player. Like, know what I mean? Like that was an absurd season. That's a defense that you pick up and stash even through their bye week. This Jets defense is good, right? I think they are good, but they're on bye this week. And their rest of season schedule, they've got some tough matchups. They've got the Bills, they've got the Vikings, the Bears offense, which has started rolling a little bit recently. The Lions don't have a bad offense. They have a bad defense, but that offense has gotten things moving. The Seahawks with Geno Smith, and then in week 18, the Dolphins. So this isn't a defense I'm trying to necessarily like stash to acquire for the rest of the season. I'd rather have all of those running backs on my roster than that defense.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. That's totally fair.
You said it perfect.
Yeah. Adam in here, Marvin Jones or Terrace Marshall?
Terrace Marshall.
Terrace Marshall.
Really?
Yeah,
I was going to say Marvin Jones.
Then tell us why it's Marvin Jones. Tell us on Marvin Jones over Terrace Marshall.
I wanted to, let me look at Terrace Marshall. So this week it might be Terrace Marshall.
I was going to say, I think what you see, I believe Terrace Marshall has seen over 95% of snaps since Robbie Anderson's been traded. I think over the past 3 weeks, it's like 20-something% target share averaged out. Between those two, it's Terrace Marshall, and it's not even close, especially with the matchup.
The Panthers are playing the Ravens, and we previously discussed the Jacksonville Jaguars playing against the Chiefs.
Panthers are playing the Falcons, not the Ravens.
Not Ravens.
Oops,
Ravens are the following week. And honestly, the Falcons is that matchup is really what does it for me. Is that's going to put Terrace Marshall above Marvin Jones for me this week.
Man, maybe I'm overcorrecting on Terrace Marshall. I was so out, but I'm excited to see him doing well. But he's getting the volume, and Jay, to your point, he's on the field. Robbie Anderson got traded, and Terrace Marshall just stepped in. He's a starting wide receiver for that team. The quarterback position's a little bit worrisome, right? They did announce that Peach is getting the start again, right? That they're throwing PJ Walker back in.
That's good for Marshall because he's been producing with Peach under center. So,
and it's good for Deej as well. The Peach to Deej connection is back on the menu, boys.
To Teej. We call Terrace Marshall Teej.
No.
I'm doing it anyways. I don't care what you guys say.
There's no J in his name.
It doesn't matter. He starts with a T and it rhymes. So,
nope.
That's a fair point.
All right, well done, Jay, on that one. Let's get into our next prompt here. So, Simon You got to sell me on this pen. Sell me on Jeff Saturday being a future Hall of Fame coach.
Yeah, easy. If you just listen to the words Jim Irsay says, smart man, right? Jim Irsay is the man that brought Peyton Manning to the Colts. He's the man that drafted Andrew Luck, tanked to get what many considered a generational prospect and was great whenever he played. He brought in Jeff Saturday. He knows what it takes to find success in the NFL, and he knows Jeff Saturday is a leader of men. It doesn't matter if he knows the X's and O's. It doesn't matter if he hasn't even found success at the high school level. He's been a player. He knows what it takes. He has the respect of the organization. He has the respect of the fans, and he has a fantastic voice and a really great hairline, which are two of the most important qualities. His name is a day of the week, arguably the best one, which is just going to inspire smiles amongst everybody playing for him. Every time they see him, they're going to think about how beautiful of a day Saturday is as they prepare for their Sunday matchups. And Jeff Saturday will find success here in Indianapolis, maybe a little bit too much. So they're going to move on as they're trying to tank. And then he will get his next head coaching opportunity, succeeding Bill Belichick in New England and leading them to another 6 Super Bowls during his tenure, becomes a Hall of Fame head coach.
Beautiful. Beautifully
Well
done,
done.
Simon. Well
You
done.
almost had me, Simon, but you missed the most important part. Jeff Saturday has some of the most beautiful eyes I've ever seen on a human being. You forgot to bring that up. And I think that really that's a selling point for me.
I almost think that's a detriment to coaching because it'll be distracting on the sideline for his own teammates. They're just going to look over to get the play call, and they're going to get lost in those eyes, and then play clock runs out, false start.
Exact opposite. He doesn't even have to say anything. The players look in his eyes, and they know exactly what he wants.
Scott Fish says his name is Terrace Marshall Jr. Literally a J in there.
Thank you.
And his name is actually has a J on it. He said Moore and Walker don't have a J on their jersey. Marshall does.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you. It is official. Teej. Peej to Deej to Teej.
Nah, bonk.
No.
Bonk.
If we see a Peach to Deej to Teej play, I will then call him Teej. But I need to see a double pass trick play where he gets involved in that action.
How about if Teej scores a touchdown on Thursday night?
No, I
Then
just
can we
laid out
call
my
him
criteria.
Nice.
I just told you what my criteria
How about
was.
this other scenario?
We're bargaining here. This is,
Okay, cool. So I hear your offer, and
You gotta have leverage
I'm
to bargain.
gonna go with specifically what I said.
I'm calling him that anyway, so you can't stop me.
That's fine. That's fine.
All
Jay.
right, Jay. Here's your next prompt. Sell me on scoring bowling by hand instead of using the automated scoring at the bowling alley.
What? Say that again.
Sell me on scoring your bowling match by hand instead of using the automated scoring at the bowling alley.
Well, one thing is technology is not reliable. You think you put something in, it's back in my day, we didn't have these fancy computers and these calculators in your pocket. We didn't even have the internet. We listened to music on the radio and we liked it. We couldn't choose what we wanted whenever we wanted. It really teaches you something when you actually have to do the math yourself. Using pen and paper, you're able to use your mind. You don't have to worry about somebody hacking into your score, and doing a little bit of this. Oh, all of a sudden you were winning, now you're losing. No, you don't have to worry about that. When you do it yourself, you use your good old brain power. You keep yourself at, your wits up. And it really just feels good to write down the numbers, especially when you get that strike. There's nothing like just putting that X on paper.
Can I ask a follow-up question, Jay? Just because you're convincing me. I just feel a little bit lost on how this is done. So how do you score the next frame after someone bowls a strike? Like what is the math involved in doing that? Because I just see the numbers jump up. Add 10, and that's 100% true?
I honestly think it is, yes.
Okay.
I have no idea how bowling scoring works, and every single time I'm confused.
Yeah, I think it's 10 from the frame before, and if it's a spare, you only get the next throw. So, like for a strike, you get both throws. If it's a spare, you only get the first throw.
But wouldn't addition? I think it's a multiplier, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be a multiplier? I don't know. Tommy in here saying, didn't you date a bowling major, Simon? I one dated a bowling major and it did not go well. I have told that story before. Crushed my foot. Absolutely. Jay, you know what? You kind of convinced me on that one. I'm buying into it. You keep yourself busy.
I like Dustin's reasoning here. He said bowling is boring. So when you aren't actively bowling, so keeping score by hand gives you something to do while the others bowl. It's a good point. It's a pretty good point.
Usually they have pretty good food at the bowling alleys. You just eat while the other people are bowling.
I want to rent out a bowling alley so that each of us can have our own lane.
We have to find a bowling alley in Canton, and I'll go bowling.
I don't know that we want to do that.
That is true. We might die.
When I was in the 7th grade, maybe the most chaotic event of my entire life. Like, just whoever came up with this idea, it was a bad idea. They should have never done it. But the middle school orchestra, band, and chorus had a lock-in at a bowling alley where we got dropped off at like 9 p.m. and then picked up at 7 a.m. Like a full-on lock-in. And they just gave us free reign of the bowling alley. There were like 12 adults and like 300 children just sprinting around this bowling alley. It was pure chaos, absolute chaos. But
Scott has me dying in the chat saying, I got to keep my hands busy in the bowling alley so I don't get into fights. Be notorious for bowling.
Scott Fish,
gotta
notorious
keep him
for
busy.
the bowling alley fights.
The whole time he's sitting there with his fingers and then like holding a bowling ball with his fingers in there.
You know,
gotta keep my hands busy. Gotta
just
keep
sitting there in the corner wearing a leather jacket just like this, waiting for somebody to piss him off.
And his boot.
Like,
don't
step over the line.
All right, Simon. The next prompt is yours. You ready?
I'm ready.
Sell me on wiping with both hands.
At the same time or interchangeably, like you're ambidextrous?
Same time.
Both hands at the same time. Yeah, of course. It's the only way that I would ever wipe. So it's going to be really easy to sell that to you, JL, to wipe with both hands. Here's the thing. A lot of people don't treat their ass properly. Okay. Like they wipe and then they just forget about their business and they go about their day. They act like it's so haphazard, but there is literal poop coming out of there. And you're just going to one hand dash it a little bit, see it gets mostly clean and go away. You need the force of 2 full hands in there. And guys, here's something. When did you learn to wipe, JL?
I don't remember. Probably like 3 years old.
3 years old, right? Now, here's my follow-up question. Have you had any follow-up lessons since you were 3 years old on how to wipe?
Yes.
Who gave you a follow-up lesson? Who gave you a follow-up lesson on wiping? But I've never watched you. I haven't watched your technique. I don't there's been no direct feedback since you were 3 years old on your wiping technique.
You don't know that.
That's why I asked, and you just said I did, and that was the only other answer.
Maria observes and gives me tips and tricks every time.
I feel like you're trying to derail my sales pitch, so I'm going to go to the other person. Jay, when did you learn to wipe?
Probably around 3 years old.
Have you gotten lessons on wiping since you were 3 years old?
I have not, but can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So when you say using both hands, is it both at the same time? Like you go under and wipe, you go around and wipe? Is it like
what's our technique here?
Is it a digging motion like a dog? Like what's the proper way?
You know what? I had this whole spiel laid out, but you guys are just adamant on derailing it and getting it your way. Whenever you use both hands, no, what you do is the toilet paper, you need a mechanism that can hold the toilet paper under you. It's in the toilet on a rope. Hands go in from either side around you. It's not front, it's not back, it's side. You hold onto the toilet paper and then you pull and you push. It's very similar to that motion. Or
you're pushing your booty.
That's what I was going to say. There's a second option. Like whenever you're drying yourself with a towel, but this one you cannot use toilet paper. You have to use a hand towel, both hands in between your legs, go like that. You're going to have to floss it back and forth.
Which is your specialty we learned yesterday.
This is just
a with the towel.
This is just a cleanliness issue. One hand isn't going to do the job. It's the most important part of your body. You're going to need to use 2 hands to get the job done.
I respect that. Simon. Can I ask a follow-up question?
Yeah.
So yesterday we had this discussion about you picking up poop with a wash, like a, what do you call it? Like a washable towel instead of using paper towels for the planet. Do you take the same philosophy on your own butt?
No.
So you hate the planet?
No, I do not have the budget or time necessary to do the laundry for the amount of towels that would require for me, JL. I would love to, but there would have to be an entire room of my house dedicated to towels, and I would have to hire someone full-time to do laundry for me. It's just not practical.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, well done, Simon.
You convinced me. 2 hands only from now on.
Wiping 2 hands only. Dustin said, what has happened to this show?
Absolutely nothing.
I wonder
Same
if that
thing.
guy that was in here earlier that said that
as
there's not enough football talk in here. I hope he's watching right now. Like, that's what I really
Probably not.
No, he's not.
We got time for one more.
We got time for one more. All right, Jay. This one's yours.
All right.
Sell me on Zach Wilson being a future Hall of Famer.
Well, Zach Wilson is good enough that he doesn't even need to use one of the best wide receivers on his team. I mean, he took his mom's best friend, who is like 40 years older than him, and showed her the night of her life. Smash, bonk, whatever you want to say. I mean, that alone puts him in the conversation for Hall of Fame. He's got got a fantastic wide receiver in Garrett Wilson. That's all he needs. He doesn't need Corey Davis. He doesn't need Elijah Moore. He just needs to keep feeding the ball to Garrett Wilson. And as we saw with this team with Breece Hall, this team was looking really, really good on offense. Really hasn't skipped a beat since Breece Hall went down. Breece Hall is coming back next year. They traded for James Robinson. This guy has all the weapons that he needs. He's shown that he's a stone cold killer on the field, in the bedroom. That's pretty much all you need.
Pretty good.
That is a stat that shows up whenever they're discussing Hall of Fame metrics is, was he a killer in the bedroom? Points per mom. Points per mom.
Gambling.
So Jay, just based on what you were saying there, it sounds like maybe you think Joe Flacco is a Hall of Famer because of the elite team around him, maybe leading him to a couple Super Bowls.
No.
Well, your argument's falling apart for me a little bit then if you don't think Joe Flacco is a Hall of Famer.
Joe Flacco is a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Okay, now I'm in. Zach Wilson is a Hall of Famer.
Right next to Eli Manning.
Eli Manning, Joe Flacco, and Zach Wilson. All these things are the same, right, Jay?
Two-time Super Bowl MVP Eli Manning. Don't forget that part.
Yeah, don't worry. I was positive as soon as Eli Manning came out that those were going to be the next words that came out of Jay's mouth.
Always.
Jay, are you buying it?
Maybe tomorrow I'll wear my Eli Manning. I have a Eli Manning shirt that says 2-time Super Bowl MVP. Maybe I'll wear that for the show tomorrow.
That is interesting information. No, he didn't sell me on it. Zach Wilson's poo-poo butt.
Poo-poo butt.
2-handed poo-poo butt or 1-handed poo-poo butt?
3-handed.
Oh.
Also, Tommy in the chat saying, oh my, indeed. Guys, everybody who hung out with us this morning, thank you so much for tuning in this fine Tuesday morning. I forgot what day it is. A reminder before we go, though, we all love football. We all love fantasy, but today is election day. And if you have not voted early, make sure you get out there and go cast your vote. Make sure your voice is heard on the national and state level. You guys got to make sure that you're getting your votes in. It's your right, and it is an honor to get to go out there and get those votes in. We will be back tomorrow from 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern time for some more Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show fun. But stick around here on the Better Sports Network all day for some more sports talk. We got Keith and Moose coming up next. And then Lunch Money presented by Fantasy Guru and Corey Nando and friends right after that. That's going to be it for us today, though, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Adios, everyone.
Go vote.
We will see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.